This young man opened his eyes in shock, clutching his head that was pounding like a hammer. Jihan sat up and realized he was lying on the sofa. He didn't understand what was happening, but after looking around, Jihan seemed to realize that he had returned to South Korea in 2020. The country at this time had not yet perished. Below the apartment building where Jihan lived, people were bustling about and children were playing happily. Jihan's emotions were truly indescribable as he had been reborn 3 years ago. Now Jihan brushed his hand to open the window to check his status. At this moment, he was only at level 2. A satisfied smile appeared on Jihan's face that was hard to contain. This was truly his opportunity. If he used the information from his previous life, he could completely change the future in this life. Thinking of this, Jihan felt filled with determination. He didn't know why he had the chance to start over, but if it was like that this time, he would definitely protect everyone. Jihan still clearly remembered that in 2020, South Korea was still very strong. They had once had one of the strongest players in the world who was ranked 11th globally and was once considered the 3rd strongest in the world. That man was famous by the title Sword King named Jun Se-jin. Se-jin was once a source of pride and a national treasure of South Korea due to his achievements. Known as the strongest warrior, South Korea had always maintained a high rank in the Asian tournaments. In fact, they could even reach higher rankings. However, in July 2020, Se-jin announced he had changed his name to Ito Ryuha and immigrated as a Japanese citizen, joining the Japanese Defense Forces. That event caused a shockwave throughout the country that year, and Jihan had returned on this fateful day. The news was showing a live press conference of Se-jin. He sat in front of his TV screen. Even though a long time had passed, he still felt uncomfortable every time he saw that wretched face. After Se-jin left the country, everything fell into chaos. Many people were worried about South Korea's ranking in the tournament, and this concern was not unfounded, as Jihan knew that South Korea, which had always been in the top ranks, was losing consecutively, and the country was plummeting in rankings. But the South Koreans at this time obviously could not know what would happen in the future. In fact, some experts were optimistic that the ranking would not change too much, because aside from Jun Se-jin, they still had many rising talents and stars. Jihan watched up to this point and turned off the TV, knowing that his country would soon be destroyed. The experts were busy indulging in a sense of spiritual satisfaction like that. The truth was that no one as talented as Jun Se-jin had appeared afterward. Perhaps everything would have been different if South Korea had time to prepare. However, the 8th net are incredibly ruthless. At first, it was just a game, nothing more. But 2 years after Provoking started, it had turned into a real survival war. If you die in the game, you will also die in real life. Monsters began to appear in low-level countries and slaughter on one side. After the Sword King left, South Korea fell severely as expected, and everything gradually withered away. At that time, the survivors all said that if the Sword King had stayed in South Korea, things might have been different. But Jun Se-jin is exactly the type of player like that. And there is a heartbreaking truth that he is Jihan's brother-in-law. He looks at the family photo hanging on the wall, unable to hide his frustration. Jihan's hand clenches into a fist, then punches Se-jin's face in that photo, causing the glass frame to immediately shatter. "I'm still very curious, how could you love this filthy bastard?" he thinks to himself. "Would things have been different if you were still alive?" The only woman in the photo is Jihan's sister. Unfortunately, she has passed away. When Jin betrayed the nation, Jihan still had another worry. Although your return at this time is wonderful, your stats are just too terrible. In fact, this isn't too surprising because Jihan in the past spent most of his time drinking and gambling. Now, when reborn, he feels he was so foolish in the past because he had no idea how amazing his talent was. Humanity becomes players at the age of 18, but only a few of them receive the gift called talent, or in other words, genius. At that time, Jihan only received a low-level talent rank F, and he used that ability to dive into gambling, predicting the winner in each match. But back then, Jihan had no idea that the true value of this skill would only be revealed after it awakened. Fortunately, he has woken up now, but these stats are truly too terrible. Those attributes should belong to a level 1 person, and Jihan doesn't understand why he managed to crawl up to level 2. Right after asking himself this question, Jihan seems to have found the answer when he sees a bottle of experience potions scattered on the table. It seems he drank this in a drunken stupor and accidentally leveled up. What a lucky fool. But then Jihan quickly realizes another strange thing. which is that he has up to 100,000 achievement points. Although this is quite useless and not worth money, he can't think of a reason why he has so many achievement points when he had not completed any achievements during that time. Before entering the competition, Jihan wonders if it's because he reversed time that something changed. Is it just this thing that changed? Jihan thinks so, then opens the item storage and is shocked to realize that there is something called an achievement exchange voucher in the storage. It is introduced as a benefit for the last survivor when selected to challenge again. This thing is also a title. Jihan immediately used it, and then the achievement store system was opened. Jihan felt that this was wonderfully unbelievable. He couldn't believe that something so amazing had appeared in his life. The achievement points that he thought were useless and worth nothing now had many benefits, such as upgrading the store needing 20,000 points, increasing the status window needing 10,000 points, or adding a slot before level 1 also costing 10,000 points. But this made Jihan start to hesitate. Although he didn't have many choices right now, he didn't know what to choose. After a while, Jihan decided to try upgrading the achievement store. So his achievement store was upgraded to level 2 and the inventory was expanded. But that wasn't the effect Jihan wanted, so he tried to upgrade once more. At this point, the achievement store was upgraded to level 3 and he could add his nickname. Gohan sighed because he realized that this didn't seem very useful now. He only had 50,000 achievement points left. If he continued to upgrade the store to level 4, he would only have 10,000 points left. It seems that the higher the upgrade, the more expensive the costs are. Jihan had two choices. One was to buy the available items in the current store or leave it to fate and upgrade it to level 4. However, Jihan was a reckless young man, so he still decided to choose the second option. After deciding to spend an additional 40,000 points, his achievement store was upgraded to level 4. This time, Lady Luck really stood by him as a feature called Emergency Recovery was added. It has the effect of restoring a faulty item to its perfect state. After reading the notification, Jihan's mouth twitched, unable to hide his smug smile. This is not good, this is why I can't stop gambling. I just have to win the lottery again, he murmured. After that, Jihan confirmed his fingerprint and entered Jun So-jin's game room feeling quite surprised. When the system still recognized him as a family member and granted access to this room, even though its owner, the Sword King, was no longer here. Jihan sat down in the gaming chair inside and started connecting to BattleNet. He was eager to test the emergency recovery feature, and the first thing Jihan restored was his first key. The paintbrush of Dongfang So, a level A item, had broken after using the feature. That brush had truly returned to its original state. It became an SS level item, the pen of the famous scholar Dongfang Suo, and also something connected to the martial god. Next, Jihan received a new notification in the instructions. The Gangnam Bronze Cup will start soon, with only 10 seconds left on the countdown, which made Jihan even more anxious. He quickly opened the status window and used Dongfang Suo's paintbrush. The reason that in his past life Jihan was able to climb to the top of the world and was known as the Martial Saint is due to the combination of 3 stats: strength, agility, and health, making it a rare, unique stat. That stat is martial power, which gave him the strength of a martial artist. This paintbrush was neglected in his past life because it was broken, but thanks to the 2 words written with it, Jihan now has a starting point for a completely different awakening. The countdown clock returned to 0, and Jihan officially logged into the BattleNet tournament as a player from the Korean server. His mission this time is to survive. The mission's content, as well as its name, is that he must survive against monsters in the arena, along with 100 other players. Once the number of players is reduced to half, this game will end immediately. Jihan appeared in the arena with a paintbrush in hand. Since he was only wearing a sleeveless shirt, he looked much more disheveled compared to the other players. But actually, this was not very important. He just wanted to know what would happen with his martial power. So Jihan opened the status window. Looking at the notification line, the stats for strength, agility, and health had been combined to become martial power. He was so happy that he wanted to fly. He had really done it. By completing an achievement and acquiring a unique stat, Jihan also received an additional 10,000 achievement points. At this point, he dared to breathe a sigh of relief because he had regained his old abilities. Currently, Jihan's martial power stat is only 5 points. Of course, although this is just the beginning for him to reach the SSS level skill of the anonymous saint technique, this much is already enough for him to easily surpass the Bronze Cup. After that, Jihan received another new notification from the BattleNet system. You logged in without connecting to the combat link. If you do not use the link, you will suffer 100% of the pain in the game. Jihan sighed. He remembered this a world where pain can be reduced with money. At that time, one could minimize the pain experienced in the game by using a link which Junsei Jin once owned, optimized to the point that it could reduce pain received by up to 99%. Now that precious brother-in-law has changed nationality, so Jihan will make good use of this. Just as he thought of this, another new notification was sent. The system reports that the achievement window has been opened and Jihan has received a limited-time mission. The mission's content is to achieve first place in the tutorial, and the reward is 1,000 achievement points. Since in the past he had never seen such a mission, but that didn't matter anymore. For Jihan, now this is as easy as pie. He possesses martial power. As the match just started, Jihan was ambushed by another player. He targeted Jihan thinking he was just a clueless newbie who would fall easily. Who would have thought that when the opponent's sword swung down, Jihan could easily block it with just 2 fingers? When turning back, a sly smile appeared on Jihan's face. Thanks for coming here to offer your life first. That's right, the most refined pleasure in this game is not defeating monsters, but killing other players. And the Guild is an organization that manages and supports players. The house is riding the wave of BattleNet, and countries are also starting to invest in player training. Thanks to the competition among famous companies, many large and small guilds have emerged in South Korea. At one time, they trained strong players throughout the beginning of the season. The tournament where Jihan is standing is called the Gangnam Bronze Cup, which is the debut stage for guilds. Returning to the current situation after the game officially started, the guy who just ambushed Jihan was carefully observing the opponents. He felt a bit shaken when seeing players in Gangnam with a completely different skill level. This young man is named Do-gu Hyuk. He is a member of the Division Guild under the management of the Division Corporation, which is a famous guild owning many rising stars. Hyuk, although just an ordinary young man, managed to join the Division Guild by luck, thanks to an A-rank gift. Quick-witted while searching for an opponent, Hyuk had his sights set on Jihan. Most of the other players were full of vigor and heavily equipped while he stood out in his plain white tank top. In fact, this appearance made Gyuyuk think Jihan was a rookie who was accidentally summoned wrong. This made Gyuyuk confident that Jihan would be his first easy prey. However, things happened as everyone saw. The person Gyuyuk thought was an easy target could easily block one of his strikes with just 2 fingers. Gyuyuk couldn't believe that a rookie like him could keep up with his A-rank agility. Not to mention, Jihan's strength was also significant. The proof is that he was firmly gripping Gyuhyuk's sword, preventing him from pulling it back. While Kyuhyun was using all his strength to pull his sword out, Jihan suddenly let go, causing him to lose balance and fall backward. Is that all the confidence you have? You came here to participate in the Gangnam Bronze Cup? Jihan asked in a tone full of contempt. Gyuhyuk was severely hurt by this statement. Such a precious A-rank agility being referred to as a kind of gift by Jihan was no different from a promotional item. Being looked down upon by an amateur like him drove Cho Gyuhyuk crazy. He wouldn't allow Jihan to mock him just because he managed to block one of his attacks. So he got back up, determined to use his fastest speed to take him down. Jihan also realized that this guy was about to put all his strength into the attack. In fact, he couldn't underestimate the speed of this guy. He just felt confident that he could win. The two then engaged in a one-on-one battle. Gyuyuk frantically attacked while Jihan was agile dodging. You immediately know that the feeling of everything reversing to the past will be very strange, and suddenly having to return to level 2 makes it very difficult for you. Although possessing extensive combat experience from the previous life, Jihan is truly too slow compared to his opponent with his current stats. However, it is precisely because of his battlefield experiences in numerous arenas that Jihan can easily see Gyuhyuk's attack trajectory as very simple and predictable. Thanks to recognizing all of his movements after dodging for a while, Jihan found the right moment to counterattack. When his sword was knocked away by Gyuhyuk couldn't even believe what had just happened. While he was still dazed and stunned, Jihan jumped up to catch the falling sword. Next, he used Gyuhyuk's own sword to pierce his throat. "No way!" Gyuhyuk screamed, but couldn't stop his body from gradually collapsing. He was game over and began to be kicked out. Before disappearing from the arena, Gyuhyuk didn't forget to leave a challenge saying that next time they meet, he would definitely win. But Jihan knew that scenario would not happen. After getting the first kill, he immediately received 100 achievement points. The sword in Jihan's hand also disappeared. This is normal because when a player is defeated, their weapon will vanish. Although a bit regretful, Jihan still had to move on to the next step. He should take down more than 5 kills to secure his rank, but at the same time, he also realized one thing. There was no one fighting those monsters over there. In this arena specifically, and in the 8-ho net in general besides players, there are also monsters. However, defeating a monster only counts as 0.1 of a player kill. Therefore, you must kill 10 monsters for it to count as 1 kill. That must be the reason why most other players will avoid them and aim for other players instead, especially those monsters that come in packs like these zombies. However, this hot potato that no one wanted to hold ultimately fell into Jihan's hands as the system assigned him a new quest to eliminate a horde of 30 zombies with a reward of 500 achievement points. Although hunting monsters was not a strategy that Jihan aimed for, there was no reason for him to refuse to do it for this reward. Monsters are still just monsters. They cannot compare to a real zombie that he faced before. If that's the case, then what is there to hesitate about? Jihan immediately switched to his fastest speed and charged toward them. The zombies saw a human without any equipment charging toward them and thought he was crazy. They simultaneously raised their weapons ready to cooperate to eliminate him in the blink of an eye. However, on Jihan's face is a confident smile, and his confidence is completely justified. Because right after that, Jihan took advantage of his agility to snatch 2 weapons from his opponent. Then he threw both axes in his hands and simultaneously took down 2 creatures before they even realized what was happening. Jihan continued to use his incredible speed to sweep through them in one go. Still the same old tactic: disarm and then counterattack. In this way, Jihan rendered these monsters unable to respond. It wasn't that his speed was too fast, but rather that their speed was too slow. The terrifying thing about these creatures is that they gather in large numbers and attack relentlessly. But that formation was completely shattered by Jihan solely based on his speed. This group of creatures fundamentally had no ability to fight back against him. The remaining creatures, seeing their companions falling one after another at Jihan's hands, were extremely furious. This rage made them surround him, wanting to overwhelm him with numbers. But of course, a seasoned warrior like Jihan wouldn't give them a chance to execute this strategy. He struck left and then right, his speed astonishingly fast. The more Jihan fought, the more he provoked the creature's fury. But at the same time, the dopamine released made him even more aggressive. Soon after, there were only a few creatures left standing on the ground. They initially wanted to ambush him, but shouted very loudly, just like, "I'm hiding here!" Truly a brainless group of monsters. Gohan immediately broke the weapon of the creature that tried to ambush him. Then he grabbed an axe and charged at the opponent, but before he could attack, the axe handle broke in half. Gohan couldn't help but feel disappointed. This group of creatures used weapons very poorly. These weapons are all too weak and completely unsuitable for their size. The human's weapon is broken, now let's take his life. The creatures began to panic. Then from all directions they rushed to attack Jihan at once. This foolish attacking style of the creatures hasn't changed at all. Jihan just wanted to quickly end this uneven battle. He gathered momentum and then stomped hard on the ground. The ground immediately cracked into a large pit. This is the true power of the martial saint, sending the entire group of creatures flying. While being knocked away like this, the creatures had no ability to counterattack. Taking advantage of that opportunity, Jihan jumped high, grabbed a sword and an axe from the monsters, and simultaneously eliminated 4 of them. His incredibly fast speed left them unable to see anything clearly. Now there are only a few left, countable on one hand. Jihan's victory is very close now. He continues to showcase an overwhelming attack, eliminating 2 more monsters in the blink of an eye. In the end, only one remains standing. But this monster, after witnessing Jihan slaughter his kind from start to finish, could only mumble in horror, "He's not human. He is the monster." That was the last thing it said, because right after that, Jihan sent it to meet its ancestors. After eliminating the last monster, he completed the mission of wiping out the monster army and received 500 achievement points. More importantly, Jihan leveled up to level 3 right in the middle of this game. This is quite strange, as experience points are supposed to be tallied at the end of the game. But whatever the reason, this is quite beneficial. Jihan can use it to instantly increase his stats. He doesn't need to think much and immediately allocates the points to his physical power. After all, this is the core factor that makes up his strength. It is a unique stat combining strength, agility, and endurance. Even though Jihan has other stats at the same level, This crazy stat can at least double his capabilities compared to the others. Furthermore, there is another reason that physical power is special to Jihan. When he reaches 30 points in physical power, there will be a chance to successfully receive an anonymous skill. In his previous life, Jihan knew how powerful this skill was, so in this life he must quickly obtain it. However, physical power is also a major weakness for him, as it is not a stat that can be easily increased. Even though Jihan still allocates one free attribute point to physical power, he doesn't harbor hopes that it will increase very quickly. Yet this time, everything seems to change as his physical power stat jumps directly up by 6 points. This excessive advantage leaves Jihan stunned for a few seconds. Normally, he would have to accumulate experience through combat and training to increase his physical power, while allocated attribute points can only maximize physical growth. But now his physical power increases as easily as other normal attributes. The corner of Jihan's mouth curves up, revealing a satisfied smile. This is truly amazing. It seems that reincarnation has brought him more benefits than he expected. Jihan doesn't know what will happen if his physical power keeps increasing like this. While he is immersed in that feeling of happiness, he is suddenly attacked, though it can't really be considered a sneak attack since Jihan is in the arena, and anyone is allowed to strike at him. He was just hit by an arrow. Of course, Jihan easily dodges it with his quick reflexes, and he has also seen the author of this arrow. "Oh, you dodged it. You're quite a lucky bastard." There are 2 opponents. Based on the outfits, they must be an archer and a warrior, 1 offense, and 1 defense, truly a perfect combination. It must be similar to Gyuyuk before. They saw Jihan because of his shabby outfit without a single piece of equipment. Handle it quickly because it's almost over. As promised earlier, whoever takes his life first will be the one to own it right. The 2 of them were whispering to each other, but Jihan could still hear everything. It's not unusual for players to cooperate with each other. In fact, it happens quite frequently. The purpose of the survival map is for players to battle, but there are no rules prohibiting guilds from cooperating. It seems the opponents are not fools, unlike Gyuyuk earlier. Moreover, now they are a warrior combined with an archer. This combination of close combat and ranged attack is really no joke. Currently, there are only 60 survivors left in the arena, which means the guidance phase is about to end. No wonder these 2 are so eager to take Jihan's life. He originally disliked confrontation. At first, Jihan thought he just needed to focus on dodging attacks to survive easily. But if the opponents have actively come here with a clear intention to take his life, then he shouldn't think in that direction anymore. "If you agree to have dinner with me, I will let you have his life," the warrior said. "Thank you, but I decline," the female archer replied. Seeing them openly flirt in front of Jihan shows that both do not consider him a rival, but just an easy target. This feeling is really unpleasant. Jihan opened the current scoreboard. He had already taken Gyuyuk's first kill, then eliminated a group of 30 birds totaling 4 points, just enough for him to be in first place. Following him is the player Lingazon with 3 kills, and the others behind each have 1 kill. A dangerous smile appeared on Jihan's face. If these 2 who do not know this have come to him, then he can use their lives to solidify his ranking. Jihan saw the female archer drawing her bow to aim, but just as the arrow was not yet knocked, she took a fatal slash. Jihan felt the opponent was lucky to become the perfect test subject for his 6 points of martial power, and he sent her off in just 1 second. At this point, besides the female archer, another person also just died, reducing the total number of survivors in the arena to 58. The warrior witnessed the entire scene, feeling both astonished and furious. His whole body shook, his teeth gritted tightly together. "How dare you lay a hand on that girl?" Jihan did not respond to him with words. Instead, he acted. In an arena and still worrying about flirting, then they might as well go together. Thinking that, Jihan immediately circled behind the opponent and launched a surprise attack. Your speed has noticeably increased, so you managed to hit that warrior. However, since he was wearing the exclusive level B armor of the guild, this strike couldn't take him down immediately, but it did leave a deep crack at the back of his collar. "It's really durable. You'll never pierce through it with those cheap weapons in your hands," he said smugly. "But what is the price of provoking Jihan? It's being hit by you with dozens more strikes. Even if you can't kill him in 1 blow, you can still gradually make that armor crack. Out of girls and level B armor, are you really here to scream at me? This shouldn't happen," Jihan declared after shattering the opponent's armor from behind. "I feel like you should endure a bit more pain." A shout echoed throughout the arena. Nothing changed, and Jihan sent that guy on his way after this battle ended. Outside the arena, many people were rewatching the match, including Lee Hazian, head of the 3rd Department of the Guild's Human Resources. Next to him was Lim Gaezon, Hazian's bodyguard, and currently ranked 2nd after Jihan. What a relief, because this person wasn't summoned at the same time as you. If so, instead of ranking 2nd, you could have been eliminated altogether. If faced with this person, we should avoid confronting him. I wondered if that was a good idea or not. Gaezon replied irritably, and Hazian chuckled softly before reassuring her. Oh, come on, how could my Gaezon possibly lose? Just fight him and defeat him fair and square. This was an order. We need to gather data, so just fight him. If you're saying that, then I'll comply, Gaezon obediently replied, until Hazian stood up and left. Lim Gaezon continued to stare at the computer screen. She just had a feeling that she had met Jihan somewhere before. This cold-faced girl Gaezon is known to possess the guild's innate S-level abilities and is also a promising member of theirs. Her performance in this cup-guided match that day even exceeded everyone's expectations, showing that she had all the qualities to rank 1st. However, a variable occurred when Jihan appeared and debuted with an impressive 6 kills. This not only shocked Gaezon, but everyone else was no exception. They couldn't understand why a young man who seemed to come out of nowhere, who was only level 2, could rank 1st. Moreover, he had no equipment or connections with other guilds either. The 2 guild members defeated by Jihan seemed to be the most heavily impacted, having been beaten by someone who started later than they did, wearing only a tank top and sports pants, almost empty-handed, yet possessing 6 skills in an incomprehensible way. That is definitely not a level that a level 2 person can reach. But what kind of monster Jihan is, no one knows. After the match, Jihan returned to his comfortable sofa. As expected, he ranked 1st in the training session. The reward for coming in 1st is a 50% increase in experience, and this made Jihan jump directly from level 3 to level 6. It seems that because he is a new player, his level has increased rapidly like that. But this kind of experience also makes Jihan feel quite satisfied. After that, he added 3 newly received attribute points to his strength stats. Currently, the strength points have increased from 9. Next, what Jihan noticed was the title received after winning the Bronze Cup tutorial, which is the ruler of the tutorial board. After equipping this title, all stats receive an additional point experience increases by 20%, and both categories are only effective within the Bronze Cup. Although this is just a bronze title, it's still quite decent. Jihan tried to equip it in the non-cheating system, and his strength immediately increased by 10 points. With this stat, the Bronze Cup will be as easy as pie for him. For now, he just needs to focus on training to get stronger. However, when checking his information board, Jihan noticed one more thing, which is his currently empty occupation category and that the profession collection is ready. Profession collection is an important moment when a new player chooses their own profession. There are 4 different options: warrior, archer, mage, and support. In his previous life, Jihan chose to become a warrior. After all, he has experienced it once. So if he chooses that position again this time, it should be much easier. Moreover, he also has an achievement shop with items obtained after resetting. With this assistance, even if Jihan chooses a different profession this time, he can always add the warrior profession later with just 10,000 achievement points. This is indeed an unbelievable offer, so Jihan feels there's no reason to choose the warrior profession first anymore. He wants to experience something different. And thus Jihan made a choice that no one expected. After the first tutorial, the Bronze Cup in the Gangnam area continued. The next task is to defend and protect the gem crystal on the tower from the wave of zombie attacks at the foot of the tower. Gaezon is the first to appear in the mission as an elite warrior of the guild branch. She stands on the tall tower looking down and can't help but frown. Although this is just a game world, these zombies do look quite disgusting. Then 2 other players quickly appeared. One is an archer, and the other is a mage. The archer equipped with a B-rank title is from the LK Guild, and looks quite stable, while the other one is a mage who appears flashy. Although he has not allied with any guild yet, he has extremely powerful equipment. With teammates like this, Gaezon feels not bad. However, the most important factor in this map is actually the support player, because defense until the end is still a scale that measures the endurance of each side. Therefore, the ability of the support role member is the vital point of the mission. Just as Gaezon was thinking about this, a blinding column of light descended from the sky. The last support she was hoping for has arrived, but what surprised Gaezon was that this support was Jihan. This time, he wasn't wearing a tank top anymore, but his equipment was still so shabby that it made people astonished. "Huh, is this a defense mission?" Jihan innocently asked. 20 minutes earlier, his decision was to choose the support role. Although the system warned that this role was not suitable for him, Jihan still resolutely chose it. The reason he chose the support role was simple. No matter how many rounds he went, the system warned that this position was not suitable for him. But the more unsuitable something is, the more people want to dive into it. Choosing to be a support means unlocking the holy power stat, which is a crucial factor for unlocking a specific stat. However, this stat is very difficult to increase. Moreover, even through practice, it won't grow easily like other stats. Therefore, besides contributing with the remaining points, there is almost no other direction. However, Jihan was someone who had once possessed the nameless holy skill and was in the process of pouring all types of attribute and combat points into unlocking it, so he couldn't waste those unused points like that. Jihan knew there was another method, a method that could be risky, but few people besides him knew about. When Jihan appeared, his team was very surprised. The one at the top of the leaderboard with 6 kills chose to be a support instead of a warrior. The wizard guy couldn't help but cover his face and exclaimed, "Oh my god, I'm about to go crazy. This is exactly the reason I didn't go into the tutorial season. Ha ha ha, look at the pile of equipment on his body. Damn it, are you a beggar? Do you think I spent so much money buying this shabby equipment just to carry someone useless like you?" The opponent kept hurling insults at Jihan, but he had no reaction at all. After all, in his previous life, he had been insulted by Americans so much that he got used to it. "Hey, you're being a bit too hot-headed, calm down a little." The archer in the group spoke up to mediate, but the wizard guy still wouldn't stop, instead getting angrier. "Get your hands off. You still dare to talk to me like that?" After seeing the shabby appearance of that support guy, "Ah, for real, can I just go home? No need to participate this time, you all handle it yourselves." Gazon couldn't help but respond due to the noise of this young wizard. She didn't expect to be grouped with a game troll like Jihan. It seems this mission is going to be a bit tricky. However, just when Gazon hadn't figured out a smooth solution, they suddenly heard the loud cries of that wizard. The wizard known as Paperblood fell right into a group of zombies. The outcome was obvious. The other two saw this and let out a loud gasp, but Jihan showed no signs of regret for his seemingly impulsive action. "Huh, what do you mean? Didn't he just say that? If you don't like it, then don't play anymore. Anyway, I can handle Tim just fine without you." A shrill scream echoed. Jihan remained indifferent and extended his hand. "Don't—" The man bowed his head to the ground, pleading desperately. "I will do my best." Gyuhyuk was sweating, shouting as if that was enough. "It's already a massacre." You recount the events, and the one kneeling down begging for forgiveness is Kim Gyuhyuk. There must be a reason why this troublesome wizard suddenly changed his attitude. Players have 3 lives in the defense game of the cup tournament he revived right after being hit by a motorcycle taxi. Jihan remembered the first time he killed someone he was standing on a high wall saying, "Oh right, I can revive." Then he got killed again, and now he had only 1 life left. If he dies one more time, Jihan's face was icy, showing no emotions. He asked, "What's up?" Gyuhyuk continued to bow his head and swore, "From now on, I will work hard." Jihan knew he would be ranked last, but for Gyuhyuk he gritted his teeth and told himself that he must not be last at any cost. "If I come in last, I will be penalized with a level drop, and the skills I paid for will disappear. If a player's level does not match the required skill level, that skill will automatically be deleted." Jihan realized Gyuhyuk's thoughts. He exposed him. "You're quick to turn your back." Jihan mocked. "Why don't you try attacking like you did last time?" Gyuhyuk got angry, immediately stood up, flailing his arms and shouting, "Don't come near me, you bastard!" Jihan teased again. "You're really good at that fire magic, aren't you?" His words left Gyuhyuk bewildered, and he suddenly remembered smiling happily. "Oh, right, flame of blaze." Gyuhyuk confidently asserted, "When fighting against a strong army, a fire wizard is very useful." He bragged, "That's me. Also, I'm level 15. Gyuhyuk's voice continued to challenge, "I'm sure you don't want to lose a talented person like me." Gazon, standing behind, had witnessed the whole event. She sighed, thinking to herself, "I thought they just looked alike, but it's really Kim Gyuhyuk." Meanwhile, he was once part of one of the top 10 guilds and was respected by everyone. But Gyuhyuk had failed 4 times in the silver rank upgrade tournament, recalling the scene where he confidently declared, "I'm done." After that, Gyuhyuk went around causing trouble. Back to the present, Gazon wearily assessed, "What a failure. while Jihan remained completely calm. While everyone was still reacting, Gyu-hyuk suddenly spoke up. "But I have a condition." He confidently pointed at Jihan, demanding, "You have to apologize for killing me. I will join your team Kim Bum afterwards." Hearing that others chimed in saying it was great, "Why don't we cooperate with each other?" Gyu-hyuk's eyes flashed with intense anger and hatred. He silently cursed the bastard. "I'm definitely lost in thought." Just then, Jihan's hand reached out, gripping Gyu-hyuk's collar tightly. One scene left him confused, not understanding what was happening. Jihan coldly mocked, "Oh, are you telling me to say I'm sorry?" Gyu-hyuk still didn't understand what he was saying, his face still blank like a duck. But just a few seconds later, his whole body suddenly shook violently, causing Gyu-hyuk to startle and scream, "Wait!" Jihan didn't hesitate, directly throwing him from the ground up to the blue sky. He spoke up. "If I say that, people will think I'm the one who started the fight." After saying that, Jihan readied his weapon in hand, preparing to fight. Gyu-hyuk could do nothing but let himself fall freely from the high floor, his voice screaming in despair. Just seconds later, the system announced, "The wizard Kim Gyu-hyuk has died." Gaezon, seeing this scene, was also shocked, but Jihan, on the other hand, had no special expression. He urged, "Let's go," Jihan added. "Next time, that bastard should understand a bit." This event caused Kim Bum behind to have a blank expression, realizing he's really dead. Below the tower, the zombies were still struggling to climb to the top. But then just one command: "Shoot them down." A series of bright flames erupted, and the group looked at the results, unable to help but exclaim, "Indeed, a fire wizard, that fire really works. We just escaped the best rank. Should we go roast some sweet potatoes?" Kim Bum also exclaimed, "That's why we need a wizard here. What should we do next?" He complained, "Everything would have been fine if we had Gyu-hyuk's support, but you killed him. We're about to lose because of your stupid ego." Jihan didn't care much, calmly opening the mission status window. "Secure first place in 10 towers, reward 1,000 achievement points." Then the system announced a new task linked to this information, which surprised Jihan a bit. A linked mission. The content of the zombie origin mission requires killing 1,000 zombies by oneself, with a reward of 3,000 achievement points. After reading it, he couldn't help but exclaim inwardly, "Kill 1,000 of them by myself." At this point, it was almost an impossible task. Jihan stroked his chin in thought, but he didn't want to lose those 3,000 points. In the distance, Gaezon was still quietly watching his every move. Lim Gaezon had assessed Seo Jihan for a while. She concluded that he was truly the worst choice. Gaezon turned away abruptly, not wanting to look anymore, and thought to follow her own ideas, and his profession was just a support. Despite his character stats, even an amateur gamer shouldn't treat teammates like that. She concluded that there was no reason for the guild to pursue him so eagerly. On this side, Kim Bum stubbornly asked, "Can I ask you this? Please answer me. Are you deliberately ignoring me? If you keep acting like this, then fight alone." Jihan was startled and asked back, "Can I really do that?" The unexpected question also surprised Kim Bum. "What, you're actually considering how to complete the mission by defeating these zombies alone?" Gaezon stepped forward, preparing to draw her weapon, and took the initiative. "I'll go ahead, you cover me from behind." Gaezon reassured herself that the outcome was clear, 10-10 already, but she needed to fulfill her responsibility as a player. Jihan, on the other hand, did not refuse and replied, "Okay." The answer made Gaezon a bit confused. She couldn't process it immediately. Jihan explained further, "I said I'll do it, so I will. I'll clear the way you remind me, so please protect him." A gentle reminder that startled Kim Bum, who shouted loudly, "Hey!" While the three were having a light conversation, a hand from an uninvited guest reached the edge of the building, and a terrifying red golem appeared. Kim Bum was so scared he stuttered, "It's a blood golem." Kim Bum fearfully reminded them, "It's not like those ordinary zombies at all. Its head is liquid, so physical attacks can't kill it." Without waiting for anyone to say anything, the blood golem directly sprang up and jumped at the group. Jihan looked at the opponent and assessed that this battle would be tough. Jihan remained very calm, using his light speed. He directly grabbed his weapon, charged straight at the blood golem, and stabbed it into 100 pieces, blood splattering everywhere. Gaezon quickly realized that it was the holy white fire. With the holy power at that moment, Jihan, with a cold and determined gaze, tightened his grip on the weapon, preparing to charge at the blood golems. They were in large numbers with grotesque appearances continuously rushing forward. Each powerful and decisive strike kept them from fighting back. Even just one move, he decisively slammed his weapon into one side of the blood golem's face, causing it to contort in pain. Not stopping there, another one continued to charge, its eyes blazing with fire, its mouth wide open, growling to swallow the human whole. But Jihan only needed one move with his weapon in hand to quickly take it down. Once done, he sheathed his sword and voiced his uncertainty about whether he could do it. Jihan moved towards the edge of the fortress where other blood golems were actively climbing up. He told himself, "But let's give it a try." Then, along with the monsters climbing up continuously, the system announced 1,000 zombies. Linked Mission 6, zombies eliminated out of 1,000. Jihan continued fighting relentlessly, his eyes resolute, sharp, decisively taking down each terrifying monster. Subsequently, notifications rang out in succession. Linked mission number of zombies killed 12 out of 1,000. As soon as he killed the next one, another notification appeared. Linked mission number of zombies killed 13 out of 1,000. After a series of slashes, the linked mission number of zombies killed 19 out of 1,000. Continuing with a slaughter, the linked mission number of zombies killed 26 out of 1,000. Jihan assessed that these blood zombies attack physically, not to be underestimated at all. He realized that when he saw them, he would unleash a small amount of holy power and kill them all immediately. After that, Jihan continued to unleash attacks on the zombies on the other side. Gazan and Kim Bum just stood there frozen watching Jihan fight. He even admired, exclaiming, "Awesome, this support is no joke." He happily continued, "Even though he is quite a troublemaker, I have to admit he is really good." "Well done, amazing." Gazan was extremely confused about what he was witnessing. She thinks he is comfortably controlling the holy power while fighting without wasting any. "This level of control is truly insane!" Gazan's eyes widened in astonishment. More importantly, this person she continued to observe Jihan slaughtering and noted that from the very beginning he had always aimed for their heads with maximum accuracy. Under Jihan's clean white shoes, the hideous blood zombies fell one by one. The system notification linked mission number of zombies killed 207 out of 1,000. It has qualified. He stood there with the notification from the system. "You have fully understood the faith in another world. Holy power has been increased from 6 to 7. After hearing the notification, Jihan smiled with satisfaction. "I know another way to increase my holy power." He looked up at the sky and exclaimed, "Awesome!" Jihan realized this and saw that it was indeed effective. Their holy items are sacred objects 2,100. When the Earth Guide was first started, they were sold at a very high price. According to rumors, all items contained secrets. After 10 years, no secrets were found and their value immediately plummeted, especially for the holy items from another world. They hold no value. Many people were even unaware of their existence. However, the top rank in the United States, the third holy maiden, Sophia, said, "I have enhanced my holy power with holy items from another world." Jihan was a bit shocked to hear this and asked, "What?" Sophia explained that his holy power could be enhanced with holy items from another world, but after he completed the guide, it would no longer be effective. Jihan found it hard to believe after hearing this, asking, "Is it really possible to do that?" She asserted, "Of course that's how it helps me become a saint." Sophia further explained that if you hold a holy artifact from another world for a long time and pray, you can gain holy power, but the requirements for each item vary slightly. Jihan was a bit surprised after hearing that. He rubbed his head and exclaimed, "I can't believe no one knows about such an easy method." Sophia replied, "What can we do? Even if they've heard rumors about it, these holy artifacts are provided in very limited quantities, and you might not find them even if you look." Jihan silently agreed. That's right, because it only works during training. He wondered, with so many, can you really have exclusive access to the holy artifacts? Sophia thought for a moment and replied, "It's not entirely like that. High-quality information isn't known by everyone, and another player also knows about this information." She recounted that someone was continuously buying items from another world. Jihan recalled the past. After he returned to the attic apartment of the Sword Palace in the dark room, the items were piled up chaotically, making him curious. "These things are..." He realized they were all holy artifacts from another world. All their holy artifacts had been depleted, so now they were completely empty. Holy artifacts from another world. The Holy Grail, neutralizing holy artifacts from another world. The crucifix neutralizing holy artifacts from another world. The pendant neutralizing. Jihan stood there looking at them and wondered, could it be so? The identity of the player who collected holy artifacts from another world, another saintess he knew, was his sister, Seong-ji-a, who accompanied Jun Se-jin. His sister was the strongest supporter in South Korea, known to the world as a hero, although the story of her death happened in the past. Jihan quickly threw on a jacket, his face slightly sad as he remembered his sister. He looked over and found the steel staff, which was the holy artifact left behind. Steel staff of item level, oh holy artifact from another world. The clerics in another world strengthened their faith by striking this staff on the heads of their cult members. Now Jihan held it in his hand. Based on the description of the item, he smashed the skulls of the zombies. The item level was decreasing. Jihan thought to himself that there probably wasn't much holy power left to absorb, but it was still the perfect solid item to smash these things. The two teams watching were extremely amazed. At this moment, Gaezon was still staring in shock at Jihan fighting. She silently judged that although his physical strength was astonishing, wasn't the level of his keyboard control even more unbelievable. Meanwhile, Kim Bum, standing next to Gaezon, didn't think that much. He could only keep exclaiming, so amazing. Kim Bum's eyes sparkled as if he had encountered a divine blessing. He said to Gaezon, warrior, there's a red tower over there. It's very high level up to the top 5. He continued to chatter away, completely unaware that behind him was a blood zombie with its mouth wide open, ready to bite him. What do you think about joining and helping them? Gaezon didn't think much and immediately drew his sword to fight. She decisively slashed a few times, her body and posture incredibly agile and skillful. It was these actions of Gaezon that caught Jihan's attention. He turned around to observe and couldn't help but wonder, what's wrong with that guy? I find her very familiar. He vaguely guessed that it was Dao Hua Kiem Lim Gaezon, right? Jihan was fighting monsters while thinking. She was once famous with the title Temporary Sword King, but did not have good results. He recalled that she had died at the hands of Jun Se-jin. Not real, but somehow I saved Dao Hua Kiem once again. While lost in thought, Gaezon spoke up to offer support. Can we join you? If we fight together. Jihan's face was cold and showed no emotions. He silently opened the status window, then Jihan checked and ranked 5th with 398 linked task points. The number of zombies killed was 397 out of 1,000, still a considerable amount left. The system announced there was 1 hour, 28 minutes, and 67 seconds left. Jihan realized that they didn't have much time left. If it's Dao Hua Kiem, she could still manage without him. At this moment, Kim Bum was still dazed like a cow under a hat and praised the warrior, "Our team is the best." Jihan reluctantly agreed to the proposal for a trio to officially fight together. He thought to let everything proceed and then leave the original position directly. After that, Jihan took his leave to another place, reminding Gaezon, you stay here. She and Kim Bum were very confused, both showing silly expressions as they watched Jihan's back. At this moment, he was letting himself fall freely from the high castle to the ground. The iron rod in his hand glowed as if infused with power. Jihan's eyes also clearly showed determination and readiness. He silently told himself that he would take everything and blow it all to pieces. At this moment above the castle, Kim Bum was still dazed. He shouted in amazement, "Oh my God, we are on top!" The system reminded, "You are the last survivors. You have completed the limited mission ranking first among 10 towers." Jihan sighed and thought just as expected. He wondered if it was a bit too much at this point. The linked mission required killing 1,000 zombies by oneself, 560 out of 1,000. Shortly after, along with the announcement that the game was over, a teleportation circle appeared beneath his feet. Kim Bum saw Jihan reappearing at the top of the tower and immediately thanked him for the support. "Thank you so much, that was amazing." Jihan, on the contrary, didn't care about him at all. He thought about when he would get a bit stronger and try again. As for Kim Bum, he was still talking non-stop, saying, "Thank you for carrying it. You're truly the best top-notch." Jihan was worried whether there would be a similar task appearing again, while that useless Kim Bum continued to praise him endlessly. He scheduled for the next time we would team up again. At this moment, Gaezon was standing alone, her chaotic emotions preventing her from being calm as thoughts echoed in her mind. Is it really possible for an independent player to accomplish this alone? Gazon looked at the pile of bizarre corpses and wondered, moreover, he was even a lower-level support than her. A game error. She turned to look at Jihan just as Kim Bum said to them, "Well, I'm logging out first." The system then announced, "An allied player has logged out." Jihan, who was covered in mud, also thought it was time to claim his reward, but just as he was about to leave, Gazon suddenly called out, "Seo Jihan." He glanced at her and thought of a charming name. Jihan wondered, "Do you know me?" He thought that at this point they shouldn't have met one-on-one yet. At this moment, Gazon was reminding herself to talk to him. She observed Jihan from head to toe and assessed the potential and achievements he had shown in the recent battles. "We need this person in the sub-guild. I am Lim Gazon, a member of the sub-guild." So to recruit him, she took the initiative to ask, "Please give me your phone number." After that, Gazon fell silent, leaving an awkward silence as if she just realized what she had said. Gazon's face suddenly went blank. Jihan asked back, "What?" She started to feel embarrassed and hesitated to explain, "No. I mean..." She realized this process wasn't quite right. "Have I explained everything? Is this really the first time we've talked and I've already asked for his number? It's improper to ask for someone's number on the first meeting. I've been too careless." Gazon hesitated to introduce herself. "I am a member of the sub-guild," while looking at him with a concerned expression. She implied it was for work purposes. "Right now, I really can't remember my number." The answer left Gazon confused, unable to wonder about anything. Jihan then scrolled through the system, saying that if he and she had a chance to meet again, he would give her his number then. "That's it, goodbye." With that, Jihan quickly logged out, disappearing before Gazon. The system then announced that an allied player had logged out. Gazon stood there dumbfounded, wondering why he couldn't remember his number. She sighed after what had happened, feeling a sense of wonder at the experiences she had witnessed firsthand. Gazon wondered, was I just rejected? Transitioning to Jihan the next morning, he walked aimlessly down the street. Jihan recalled thinking that he had been using the American number for quite a long time. "What is my Korean phone number again?" He felt helpless, thinking, "It's not like I can ask someone else what my phone number is." Jihan's face was cold, showing no emotion. He vaguely remembered that he had just been recruited. Jihan looked at the recruitment advertisement board of the guilds and told himself, "I seem to stand out too much." Jihan reminded himself that he could actually ask for her number, but he had no intention of joining a guild at the moment. Then he opened the status window, reminding himself that the most important thing right now is the reward named Seo Jihan, Level 8 Core Bond Information Gangnam Area, a strength of 10 mana, 6 Holy Power, 7 Support Profession, F-Rank Traveler's Eye ability that can see the information of other players, nickname The Ruler, GP Guide Part 1 500. He calculated carefully to see that he had leveled up 2 times and received 1/500 GP. Jihan thought to himself, considering that the Holy Power also increased, this isn't too bad. The GP shop displayed a list of items from the other world. E-Rank Hammer, 3000 GP E-Rank Rake, 3000 GP E-Rank Construction Gloves, 3000 GP. Jihan realized with a headache that 1/500 GP couldn't buy any holy artifacts at all. He remembered 2,000. 20,000. Trung is cheaper, but it's still at this price. Jihan reminded himself that he should go home and rummage through his sister's stash a bit more. Inside the building, the elevator doors were slowly closing. Above the 67th floor appeared Jihan's hands glided over the fingerprint lock of the door. Then he opened the door and slowly stepped into the house. As soon as he entered, something caught Jihan's eye, leaving him a bit stunned. He slid in shock, his eyes reflecting surprise and astonishment. A pair of female student shoes were neatly placed outside in front of the room. Jihan held the bag of items for long, feeling confused. He was so stunned that he dropped the bag he was holding to the ground. Jihan knew that everyone has moments they regret for a lifetime. In his past life, he also had many regrets. Jihan wondered, could it be the hands? He tremblingly raised them, wanting to open that door. Jihan knew that what he regretted the most was the fact that he couldn't protect that person. The hair of the woman gently brushed past Jihan's face, causing him to momentarily freeze. The woman's voice rang out clear and sweet. "Surprising you're up and out at this hour." She was worried and asked if he was still feeling nauseous. Jihan had promised himself that if they met again, there were many things he wanted to say to that person. Remembering old memories, the woman stepped forward to comfort him. "Jihan, it will be all right. At that moment, he was falling into the depths of his emotions. Jihan's indifference made her coldly utter the words, "Say, ah, you are really strong." She calmly affirmed with sad eyes, "That's right, I am very strong." Say gently approached, holding the bottle of wine in her hands, and comforted her. "So from now on, I will protect you." Jihan was deeply touched at that moment. "Thank you for protecting me." And when that innocent phrase rang out, "So just trust me, okay?" Jihan felt completely shattered, as she had to accept that he was sorry for not being able to protect her in the devastation where Jihan had completely collapsed under the immense pain with Say-A's cold, wounded body in her heart. "It sounds shameless, but I really miss you." Right in front of him at that moment was the image of the little girl Say-A innocent with a radiant smile. "Remind me why you didn't answer. Hurry up and wash your hands." She smiled cheerfully, her clear voice echoed, calling him in the empty cold room. Two people who seemed to have returned from the dead, once again seeing each other, feeling each other's warmth and existence. Jihan then painfully called a name with all the care and respect, as if fearing it would shatter in that moment. Se-A in the living room at that moment in front of Jihan was Jun-Se-A. This year she is 18 years old, the child of Jun-Se-Jin and sister Jihan, also his niece. Jihan asked, "Has your group activity in Jeju ended?" Seo-Hyun shyly scratched her head and replied, "In the end, I was the only one to finish it early because the girl was born when Sister Jihan was working hard to support the two of us, so I took care of Seo-Hyun since she was very small." She said everyone was going crazy because Dad on the TV screen was broadcasting breaking news. Sword King Jun Se-jin has joined the new future self-defense military. Is the Korean season safe like that? For Jihan, who lost his family from a young age, Se-A is more important than anything else because she is his family. Right now, she is shyly announcing, "Now it's just you and me at home." Jihan then remembered that jerk Jun. Se-A didn't hear clearly what he said. She asked back curiously, but Jihan explained, "It's nothing." "Has your dad contacted you?" After hearing that question, she changed her attitude. Se-A recounted that earlier she had tried to get in touch but couldn't. Jihan anxiously asked, "But what?" She hesitated. "The thing is, he has fallen in love." Remembering that moment, the man had coldly told her, "Anyone is fine, you just need to know that much." After hearing this, Se-A worriedly asked back, "What did Dad say?" Dad suddenly asked, "What does it mean to fall in love? Are you crazy?" The person on the other end replied, "I don't expect you to understand." She yelled into the phone, "What should I do now? Are you planning to abandon me and leave like this?" He coldly replied, "That's right." Se-jin bluntly stated that this was the condition the girl set to accept his feelings. After hearing that, Se-A froze. She painfully asked back, "So Dad, are you saying I have to accept that ridiculous condition?" He ignored his daughter and coldly replied, "I'm hanging up now." Jihan, having heard the whole story, immediately felt a surge of anger. That trash. Se looked at his face, also a bit bewildered. Jihan helplessly sighed, thinking to himself, "No way you always put on a kind face while being an ungrateful, irresponsible jerk. You abandoned your daughter and your country just for one girl." Jihan stood there furious, his hands clenched for the innocent Se. It was only in the throes of a rising resentment that she suddenly spoke up, asking, "Uncle, the family photo here is the one you broke, right?" Jihan was startled, realizing, "Oh no," he awkwardly explained, "I'm sorry, Seiya, I got so angry that I lost control." Jihan blamed himself, thinking he might have gone too far. After all, that man is still Seiya's father. But her next words left Jihan completely unsure how to respond. "Why were you the one who broke it first?" She innocently raised her fist and said, "I want to do that too." Sia naively was the one comforting him. "Don't worry, Uncle, I'm really okay." He realized that's right, this is truly C.A. If her mother or Jihan's sister died, even if Sei's father Jun Se-jin betrayed and left, that girl would always have a bright and cheerful smile. C.A. cared for Jihan more than herself. But he looked at her now and thought to himself, "Don't be like that anymore." His expression softened. Jihan gently reached out his hand, lightly stroking the head of the little niece. Then Jihan softly pulled her into his arms and whispered, "Seiya, you've grown up. I praise you now, you know how to take care of your uncle too." Seiya, confused, could only reply, "It's okay." Jihan silently vowed to himself, "From now on, I will protect this little niece." Jihan gently reminded her not to overburden herself. After hearing his words, Se-ah was initially a bit surprised, but then she gently closed her eyes, feeling the warmth radiating from his affection. She replied, "Yes, thank you, uncle." Then Se-ah spoke up to start a conversation, "Uncle." Jihan asked curiously, "What's wrong?" Se-ah straightened up and whispered, "You smell too sweet." The scene shifts to early morning in the urban city of Seoul Gangnam-gu Gazon's branch office. At this time, Ha-jeon was still in a gloomy mood from yesterday's battle. Ha-jeon was also someone who heard that story. Gazon saw her trying to suppress a smile and then teased, "You can laugh out loud if you want." Miss Ha-jeon couldn't hold it anymore and trembled as she responded, "No, I'm sorry." Gazon coldly said, "Just laugh." But as if waiting for this cue, Ha-jeon immediately burst into laughter in the hallway, startling those who were passing by to stop and look at her. She forced herself to say, "I'm really sorry, Gazon." "Really?" Gazon said that, but still acted a bit pouting. Ha-jeon laughed until tears streamed down her face, exclaiming, "That guy is really funny." Potential Lim Gazon asked for his number and was refused. "How come above all is the reason I don't remember my number anymore? It's really strange." She confided, "I can't do anything. People say that the first time someone appears before the opposite sex, they will be judged by their appearance. I'm not as beautiful as that young lady. I look more like a boy." After hearing this, Ha-jeon turned around to look at Gazon. She frowned, thinking to herself that one problem was that she didn't know how famous she was. Why did a young man passing by overhear this and then spread the word, "That's the charming Gazon"? Should I ask her out on a date? Someone reminded him, "She'll reject you like a watermelon." Haezeon then walked ahead of Gazon and casually warned, "If you go out and talk like that, you'll get scolded." The scene shifts to the break area of the building. Gazon sighed and walked over to ask Haezeon, "Only here do I feel the most relaxed. So what do you plan to do about recruiting Seo Jihan?" She calmly blew on her teacup to cool it down, then said, "What do you mean? What do I plan to do no matter what I need to recruit him? That old crazy man told me to do so. I feel a lot of pressure." Gazon suggested, "I think that Seo Jihan guy is talented. We should recruit him." Haezeon didn't respond to this suggestion. She calmly enjoyed her tea when suddenly a sound came from the table. Haezeon's phone screen lit up displaying information predicting the winner on the battlefield. She immediately focused on the system board and wondered, "What's this? Why is this guy suddenly broadcasting? There must be a big match today." Gazon looked at it sarcastically. "Miss, do you still watch these silly broadcasts?" Haezeon replied a bit irritated, "What's silly about it? This is just a broadcast analyzing strategies." Gazon suddenly realized something simple after hearing this, then pointed at the system board and asked, "Is that Lady Haeon?" She also looked confused and then recognized a name, Seo Jihan, on the screen. He was adjusting the filming equipment and asked, "Is CA ready?" Immediately those watching were startled and commented, "What? Is this the broadcast for the winner today? It's been a while since Seo Jihan appeared on screen today. He looks great. Does this guy even check the title of the broadcast?" Then a naive voice of hers echoed on the screen. "Okay, the guy on the phone is fine too." Gazon watched and was also startled, asking back, "Is this the broadcast you watched to predict the winner?" Haezeon, lost in thought, stammered, "It doesn't matter anymore. Seo Jihan, this person on the screen displays a line saying, 'I am the brother-in-law of the Sword King.'" Haeon looked confused and said, "Did he say he is the brother-in-law of the Sword King?" Just the name alone is enough to make everyone pay attention. The broadcast exclaimed in shock, "Really? Look at that twin sword statue. It seems he is at the sword hall. So you know the twin sword statue, right?" And they kept sending comments with all kinds of emotions from negative to positive. "This is the rooftop of the Sword Palace. If you are not a family member of Junsei Jin, you cannot enter. How dare you casually call the Sword King by his name? It's more appropriate to call him the traitorous scoundrel of the Sword King." On Jihan's side, you stood in front of the camera and asked Seiya, "Can you step back a bit?" She obediently replied, "Yes." People in the comments kept sending their opinions. Is Seiya the daughter of the Sword King? If Junsei Jin is a traitor, could his daughter be the same? The Sword King is not a traitor. He is just deceiving the Japanese to bring benefits back to our country. The comments suddenly became a place where people were confused seeing Jihan start to practice magic. Wait, what is he doing? His back looks good. Do you work out often? Hold on, no way. Between Jihan, he lightly pressed his foot, then stomped hard on the ground, creating large cracks from the center. It's Jihan. The cracks on the ground widened, forming a circle around him, standing like a formation. The power was transmitted to the twin swords mounted on the grand wall Heijon Gazan, and everyone who saw this felt extremely astonished. Viewers immediately commented in awe, "That crazy guy represents a turning point for Korea." The proud twin sword statue in the world, along with the cracks on the rooftop, a comment appeared, "Your twin sword statue has been destroyed." At this moment at Jihan's location, the scene became desolate and chaotic. The ground shattered while the two twin swords on the wall stood tall and steadfast. Then Jihan decisively raised his hand, charging towards the twin swords, wanting to attack them. The viewers were immediately stunned, continuously commenting, "Stop! I warn you! Goodbye, traitorous scoundrel! Don't do that!" But Jihan didn't read those comments. He simply didn't care how people would perceive what he was doing. In their eyes, the view count kept rising along with the lively comments. Looking at the increasing view count, "Hey, who leaked this out? Hey, daring to do that to the Sword King. Doesn't this scoundrel fear the Sword King's family? Is your brother still idolizing the traitor? What kind of a person is that so outdated? Oh my! Hey, your brand new car is wrecked. The Sword King will be furious at these words, such audacity. Is he really Jun Se-jin's brother-in-law? What a crazy guy. Speak in English." The system then also announced that an achievement had been reached. Jihan's shirt couldn't withstand the strong shock and ripped at the shoulder. He breathed a sigh of relief, saying, "Now I feel lighter." Jihan's hand clenched, gathering strength. He recalled his plan. Next, the achievement had been reached. I will talk about the citizenship of Sword King Jun Se-jin. 8. Tho took a live-streaming system of 8Tho.net, a popular platform that holds the largest market share globally, because this is part of BattleNet. The achievement of BattleTube attracts viewers. 1. Attract viewers. 2. Reach 1,000 dislikes, achieve 1,000 likes. The number of viewers, the amount of subscriptions and views allows Jihan to earn bonus points when reaching a certain level. For Seo Jihan, the title of brother-in-law of the Sword King is a good opportunity to help him collect all the rewards after the shocking punch online. The system continuously rings with achievement notifications. Normally, you have achieved the achievement of attracting viewers. You have achieved 100,000 dislikes. A user commented asking everyone, "Did he break that with his bare hands?" Jihan's eyes glanced at the system boards continuously displaying next to him, feeling secretly satisfied. As predicted, many dislikes surprisingly made Jun Se-jin become useful. Comments were continuously posted. People were extremely annoyed and wrote harsh words. "How dare you destroy the Song Kim monument? It is the symbol of the Sword King. What if because of you doing this, the Sword King never returns?" Jihan thought of a black logo featuring Song Kim. He frowned slightly, realizing it was the Sword King's family. They are die-hard fans of Jun Se-jin, the ones who pushed Se-ae into a dead end. Although they give absolute support to Jun Se-jin, their anger is also growing, and that rage begins to turn towards Jun Se-jin's only blood relative, Jun Seo. They used oppressive words against the girl. The Sword King left this country because his unruly daughter Se-ae must die for the Sword King to return. Kill her, kill her. In the end, their actions caused harm to the girl. Their words were like sharp swords killing Se-ae. Just remembering it made him angry, grinding his teeth, veins popping on his face, as they needed someone to vent their anger on. Thinking that Jihan did not hesitate to announce, "I hope everyone listens to these words carefully." He told himself he would be happy if he became that target. Then he decisively raised his hand, the power activated, causing the stone tablet behind him to shatter immediately. People saw it and became even more enraged. They angrily sent comments cursing, "Stop right there, you brat! You tell us to listen, but why are you starting to smash things?" Jihan declared boldly in front of all the viewers, "Ito Ryu Hei will not return." Witnessing this, Se-ae became stunned for a moment. When people closely observed each action and expression of the young man on the screen, someone recognized, "Isn't he Seo Jihan? The guy from Bronze Tutorial. He's only bronze rank. Look at how he makes a big deal out of nothing." Can you still say that after seeing him break the Twin Sword Monument? I don't care about the Twin Sword Monument. but I see those Sword King's family's idiots are definitely brain dead. Jihan, on the contrary, didn't care about those comments at all. You brought your phone screen forward and announced, "I will let everyone listen to the original recording. This is a call between Ryuhei and his daughter after deciding to acquire Japanese citizenship." Then each word in the recording is amplified by the voice of a young girl asking, "Dad, what's going on? Why did you leave so suddenly?" The man's voice replies, "I have found the person I love." "What do you mean? I just want what's best for her." Hajon and Gaizan were also stunned upon hearing the recording. She gritted her teeth in anger, thinking, he really is despicable. CA's voice then echoed, "Are you really going to leave me here like this?" The viewers were successively taken aback. They were skeptical. Really? The people in the window must be speechless. The man's cold voice responded as if to confirm yes. He explained, "That was her condition to accept my feelings." After this statement, Jihan turned off the recording. He turned to look at Se-Ha's expression. The viewers who were fans eavesdropping commented, "How can international marriage be stopped? We shouldn't believe it. It must be fake news." News? Is this really called news? At most, it can only be considered gossip. Se-Ha, on the other hand, did not feel sad at all. She slightly nodded as a signal to Jihan that his action was very correct. Then Se-Ah appeared on the screen. She introduced herself. "Hello, everyone. I am Jun Se-Ah, the daughter of the Sword King." Everyone who saw her youthful face immediately commented in praise, "So pretty." She then calmly shared, "That was really a shock for me. I stand here because I have something to announce. My father said he would leave the Sword Pavilion to me." Upon hearing this, everyone commented expressing admiration. "So envious. What is my dad doing? Go earn your own money and buy a house for him, you fool." But then Seo said, "However, I cannot accept inheriting from someone who has abandoned the country and family like this. Therefore, the building he left for me, I would like to donate it to the country." The viewers exploded upon hearing this. They sat shocked, asking each other, "Is she crazy? Did we hear that wrong? If you plan to do that, then I'd rather you not." Se-A reaffirmed, "I hope my contribution can support and help the training of players in Korea." He was momentarily speechless. Jihan stood beside him, and after hearing his little niece finish speaking, he happily smiled. CA said her final words, "I will share detailed information in the near future." Going back 30 minutes earlier, Se-A was startled and asked Jihan, "Do you want us to donate our house?" She confusedly pinched his cheek and asked, "Do you look like you're drunk?" Jihan, who was drying his wet hair, said annoyed, "Say, that hurts." She still did not understand the reason for this action and asked, "Why do you want me to donate everything we have?" "Are you crazy?" Jihan reassured her. "Uncle is clear-headed, Say." He glanced elsewhere, secretly admitting that he wasn't confident he could convince her, but let's see who gets convinced. At that time, Jihan had dragged Say to see the building. She still suspiciously asked back, "Are you serious?" He confidently affirmed, "Trust me, because we are not selling a building that a normal person could build in a lifetime. What we are doing is donating it." But Jihan had to do everything to convince her. He just wanted what's best for Say. After Jun Se-jin defeated South Korea as Japan's representative, the anger of the citizens of South Korea grew to an uncontrollable level. In a match between South Korea and Japan, Jun Se-jin participated as Japan's representative. South Korea lost badly to Japan, and the one who contributed the most was not the Sword King, but Ito Ryuhei. The public was furious and demanded that the Hunters Association eliminate Jun Se-jin. Anyone who benefits from Jun Se-jin must take responsibility. The family of Jun Se-jin and those related to the Sword King were forced to take responsibility. The government could not calm their anger and had to confiscate all of Jun Se-jin's assets, the traitor. "Jun Se-jin will have to remember us." Jihan really wanted to tell his little niece, "Saya, we have no place to go anymore. I can't stand the Sword King's family always lurking and threatening taking away the girl's life." Since it was going to be confiscated anyway, it was better to donate it to please them and protect her safety. After careful calculation, he realized with a headache that Say probably saw him as just a lazy uncle who drinks at home all day. He also couldn't tell her that he came from the future. At this moment, Say was still looking at her uncle with a confused expression, her eyes shining with hope for a specific explanation. But before Jihan could say anything, Se-ah unexpectedly agreed. All right, Jihan, hearing this, awkwardly asked back, Se-ah, do you really see it? She coldly turned away and asked, what is your reaction? If I agree, you suddenly change your attitude. He hesitated, meaning it was a bit unreasonable, right? Jihan stammered to explain, you're not the kind of person who would impulsively say things like that. Moreover, without letting him finish, Se-ah turned back and teased, it's been a while since I've seen this side of you, a confident uncle. Upon hearing this, Jihan was unexpectedly taken aback, not knowing how to respond. Then he smiled, sighed, and thought to himself, I wonder who this girl resembles. Jihan glanced at his niece and affirmed, the girl is really talented. But what he didn't expect was that after Se-ah's declaration, many people with profile pictures of dual swords commented with unpleasant remarks. Representing the Sword King family, I tell you, Se-ah, you've been deceived. That guy is a fraud. Seo Jihan, isn't he the Sword King's brother-in-law? He is definitely a Japanese spy planted here. You read those comments mockingly, thinking to yourself, great, keep insulting me like those people are doing. Then the people in the Sword King family wouldn't cause trouble with CA. But I must ensure that I achieve the ultimate goal. The Samsung camera is still flashing. Jihan remembered a name, Jun Se-jin. Then, to prevent his nephew from reading any unpleasant comments, he decided to step up and say, actually, I think I've done quite well. Everyone who watched this part felt a bit confused and asked what he was talking about. Jihan kept going on and on. He said it was all for a woman, but the truth is anyone who knew him would know. Xian felt just as puzzled after hearing this. She awkwardly called out to her uncle, reminding herself that this was not in the script. He ignored it. Everyone insisted that it was because he had fallen out of favor. Those who heard this immediately erupted with emotion, commenting non-stop, "Does this guy need a fix?" He continued, "Do you think we don't know that you ran to Japan because you realized you couldn't do anything in Korea?"
Meh.
The person with the dual sword avatar commented, "Warning, Seo Jihan, watch your words." Another person lamented, "Seo Jihan is a bronze rank, declaring Jun Se-jin is out of favor." Both Hazeon and Gazan were equally shocked by these words. He took the opportunity to tear off one sleeve of his shirt and warned, "Be careful in Japan, because when we meet again, I will take action." Viewers then burst into laughter. They continuously sent sarcastic and mocking comments. "Rio is in big trouble now." Then they said, "Is your English okay? Korea is always in civil war." Look at how jealous they are of us. Go back to your country. How dare you come here? I'm really looking forward to the match between Korea and Japan. The sunset fell over the glamorous city, casting a golden hue that made the scene peaceful, beautiful, and poetic. In Jihan's house, Se-ah worriedly asked, "Do we really have to do this, Uncle?" She was scrolling through her phone while confusedly saying, "Now both Korea and Japan are in chaos." Jihan calmly reassured her, "I said it's fine, just ignore them, don't watch anymore or you'll get stressed out." Se-ah remained skeptical. "But Uncle, there's something off about you. It feels like after last night you've turned into a different person." He felt a pang of guilt upon hearing this. The girl found it understandable. How could I act normal after dying and then coming back to life? Then Jihan teased, "I guess you think I look like some kind of drunkard, right?" CA quickly denied, "No, why would you think that?" Aye. While they were chatting happily, there was suddenly a sound of someone ringing the doorbell outside, causing Jihan and Se-ah to look towards the entrance simultaneously. She wondered, who would come at this time? He seemed to know who would arrive, calmly putting his hands in his pockets, and said in surprise, "Wow, I didn't think they would come so soon." Se-ah also had an inkling. She asked, "Don't tell me they came looking for you." Jihan reassures her, "Don't worry, it's not that." He thinks to himself, "All right, let's see. Should we make some extra money?" Scene changes to the evening in Tokyo, Japan. A man is sitting in front of a tablet screen. The system displays notifications in Japanese. The relationship between Japan and South Korea is expected to remain tense due to the Sword King obtaining Japanese citizenship. I guess South Korea must be outraged over losing its best player. Next to a pile of women's clothes thrown on the floor, the notification continues. They are throwing stones at him and blaming it all on a woman. I wonder how beautiful this woman must be. Indeed, the issue is that Mr. Ryohei's brother-in-law has also issued a challenge. I'm curious to see how the Sword King will react. I think this is understandable. One could say his brother-in-law represents the wrath of Greater Korea. The woman sitting on the bed puts her clothes back on. She softly asks, "Is that news bothering you?" Sejin replies, "No, have you woken up?" Shizuru then says, "It's fine, after playing the game I couldn't sleep anyway." She confides, "Sejin, I'm just worried that you are having difficulties." Sejin irritably reminds Shizuru, "Don't call me Sejin anymore." He insists, "I have taken your last name, so now I am Ito Ryuhei." Shizuru denies, "No, you're wrong." She hugs Sejin from behind and asserts, "You are Jun Sejin, the #1 player in South Korea, the Sword King." Upon hearing this name, Jun Sejin turns to look at his lover and calls, "Shizuru." She raises her hand to caress Sejin's cheek to mesmerize him, then affirms, "That's the truth, it can't be changed." Their faces are just inches apart, and the atmosphere quickly becomes intimate. Shizuru whispers in Sejin's ear, "I love you." The two on the bed share a passionate kiss in a heavily intoxicating atmosphere. She confidently declares, "You are my Sejin," turning towards Jihan. The door swings open and he excitedly greets, "Hello." The man steps inside quickly, taking off his dress shoes, and says, "Thank you, taxi driver Jihan." "Excuse me, it seems like you were also waiting for me." Jihan politely replies, "Not at all. I was just looking forward to the government's presence because a small issue has turned into a big one." He calls out his name, Minister Park Yoon-sik from the South Korean Government Combat Department. Minister Jihan recounted, after Jun Se-jin left, the government stopped visiting. He tells Yoon-sik, "Please come in." He enters with a kind smile and greets the girl in the house, "Long time no see, CA." This man really only cares for him and Say for the sake of oversight. She obediently replies, "Hello, Minister." The three stand there looking at each other. Then Jihan smiles. "Now the stage is ready to shine and you will take all that you need." After that, the minister was invited in for coffee. Yoon-sik gets to the point. "Although it's a bit violent, I have reviewed it." He explains, "The government acknowledges we cannot bring the Sword King back." Upon hearing this, Jihan feels disgusted, thinking they know very well. Yoon-sik adds, "But we cannot let the public know about this immediately. The match of South Korea is also coming up." So Jihan didn't wait any longer. He straightforwardly suggested, "Why don't we stop beating around the bush and get straight to the point?" Jihan asked, "You want me to retract the donation to the Sword Palace, right? Because it will be an official acknowledgement that the Sword King will not return as soon as it is accepted." Yoon-sik felt a bit shy upon hearing this. He picked up his coffee cup. His face a bit awkward, thinking to himself, he went straight to the point. Then he looked at Jihan at that moment. This is truly a pathetic guy. As far as I remember, he was just an alcoholic and a gambler. Then he also voiced his agreement. "You're right, we have not completely given up hope that the Sword King will return. We want to propose a management contract instead of a donation." Jihan seemed to have anticipated this. The management contract changes someone's ownership regarding the management of an organization or enterprise. CA also looked confused after hearing this, exclaiming how difficult the thought process was, while Jihan realized they were indeed smart. They take responsibility for management until the real owner returns. After that, he said that the condition is to return ownership to the Sword King when he comes back. Yoon took out the documents from the bag and replied, "Yes, that's right." Then he pulled out the management contract paper and suggested it would be better if you continued to live in the Sword Palace. Both Yoon-sik explained which included terms beneficial for both parties. Please read through and think about it. Jihan also read the paper and realized they had really thought a lot about this. After that, Jihan placed the paper on the table and spoke up. "I understand, but we also want to request one thing." Yoon-sik wondered what it was, his face showing scheming, while the other remained confused and didn't understand anything. "Do we have a kid?" This transitions to a new announcement from the streamer system. Kwang has started streaming and everyone is actively commenting on the opening. "Are you streaming? Hey, wait, where's that kid?" On top of the Roman Colosseum statue, truly an attention seeker. Huyen Kwang took off the mask he was wearing and started saying, "Welcome everyone to my stream." He began to speak like a professional host. "Today we will return to the bloody and dusty Roman Colosseum, a traveling streamer." Once again, hello everyone. With a bright smile, Huyen Kwang fell down in a very strange position. This scene caught the viewer's attention, causing one user to casually comment, "Is that his underwear?" In Huyen Kwang's hand was a shimmering golden sword encrusted with a glowing red diamond. He introduced himself loudly, "I am streamer Huyen Kwang." Contrary to his serious demeanor, viewers continuously left very sarcastic comments. "Hello, golden boy, I've been waiting for you for so long." Then the system announced, "Boss has gifted you 100 GP. He left a comment saying, "Today let's teach those silver losers another lesson." After reading the message, Huyen Kwang immediately felt ecstatic. Huyen Kwang couldn't control his excitement and exclaimed, "Oh no, my rich man is here. I will respond with a dance of 02. Although this was just a dead trend, he kept dancing in ridiculous poses that made everyone sigh. Viewers left critical comments. "Hey man, how old is it up here? Do you know?" So disgusting. Two young men behind were watching this scene and were so angry they gritted their teeth, growling to curse. "That damn bastard! God! I wish he got hit by some cars and lay across the main road, that bastard." At that moment, the face of streamer Huyen Kwang looked gleaming. He is a famous streamer known for his looks and exaggeration, a notorious prankster. Huyen Kwang was once a gold-tier athlete, but he self-ranked himself as bronze to create content and called it a deep-sea journey. Huyen Kwang no longer cared about the game. He only cared about having fun. The peak of a prankster, Huyen Kwang seemed delighted to do so. Wow, there are so many people down in the deep sea. His equipment and stats were still at gold rank, so it seemed Huyen Kwang was excited to go around harassing and killing players of his own rank. When facing everyone, Huyen Kwang tried to normalize things and explained, "Am I a devil?" But others did not think so. They were right. You really are a gangster. After hearing the judgment, Huyen Kwang also took 5 minutes of his life to ponder about the principles of human existence, but since he couldn't think of anything, he returned to his overly positive demeanor and said into the screen, "Whatever this boring chat is, enough. Let's see who will be the first victim just to check out a few players." But as soon as he saw the person in front of him, Huyen Kwang suddenly paused for 3 seconds in wonder. "Is that him?" He then asked again, "This?" The viewers saw the image of the young man looking confused on the screen and typed furiously, "Seo Jihan, you fool!" It's Seo Jihan. He still treated Jihan like an object. Huyen Kwang also read those comments and he boldly called out, "Seo Jihan." He naturally brought the mic closer and said, "I really want to interview you." Jihan looked at Huyen Kwang with disgust and wondered, "What the hell?" He kept rambling, even though the other party said nothing. "The sister-in-law of the Sword King, the best player in this bronze rank. The destroyer of the twin sword statue. You have many nicknames. Recently, you've been attracting a lot of attention." Jihan felt a bit annoyed, turned away, and thought, is he a streamer for BattleTube? So noisy. Looking back, it seems there are still some BattleTube achievements that I haven't obtained yet. Then he opened the system panel, considering that he would slightly increase his viewer count. Huyen Kwang not, receiving an answer from Jihan, created content on his own. "Everyone, I've completely been ignored," and people in the comments reminded him, "At least you should reach the level of Sword King before talking to him, buddy." Hey, it seems So Jihan is live streaming too. Oh, right. There's a live streaming icon. Let's go check it out. Huyen Kwang suddenly glanced at his opponent and was startled to realize he was live streaming. Why is he gritting his teeth in annoyance, thinking, "Damn, I just gave him free advertising." Looking back at his own streaming screen, Huyen Kwang considered, "I need people to watch my stream, not his." Then his system announced, Shorting Luff 52 has registered a mission reward to kill Seo Jihan to drop him to the bottom rank. The reward, if successful, is 2,000 GP. Huyen Kwang read it and was skeptical. What kind of life is this? 1 GP is about 1,001, so that's around 2,000,001. A user then commented, "Mr. Huyen Kwang, please kill Seo Jihan for the Sword King family. We will increase the reward." He was suspicious of the Sword King family, and then the system continuously announced that the reward had been increased, along with a series of excited cheering comments. Huyen looked at the reward amount and thought to himself that he knew they had a grudge against Seo Jihan but didn't expect it to be this much. Then the reward announcements kept appearing, making Huyen doubt life, wondering, wait a minute, these people have another announcement. Kill Seo Jihan to drop him to the bottom rank. The reward, if successful, is 31,978 GB. The reward has been continuously increasing. Huyen was brain-shocked to realize it was over 30,000, now reaching 40,000. At this rate, I might even get 50,000 GB. The announcement board reminded all players that they had been summoned. The game was about to start. To his horror, a closing announcement said, kill Seo Jihan to drop him to the bottom rank. The reward, if successful, is 42,713 GB. Huyen was ecstatic upon hearing this. He sat in the arena laughing so much that his mouth couldn't open any wider. The viewers who saw this couldn't help but exclaim, damn, isn't that still not enough for you? This crazy guy turned out to be how he makes money. Huyen was now lost in the intoxication of wealth. He exclaimed, almost hit 50,000 already. The mysterious user appeared again and said, if you can truly defeat Seo Jihan, then I'll send you 10,000 GB. Upon hearing the announcement, Huyen robe immediately fluttered in the wind. He announced in a serious tone, I, Huyen have felt your determination. The spectators couldn't help but be impressed. Look at him, so serious that he looks like a black and white image. The state of greed has been successfully activated. I would feel the same if I received 50,000 while Huyen is still happily thinking that this is indeed a bargain. Confidently he declared, Seo Jihan, you will now fall into despair. He waved his arms and asserted, from now on, I, Huyen will end this game and become your personal reaper. The system then announced, prepare the player's active skill to accelerate heading towards the target at extremely high speed. With that, Huyen charged straight towards Jihan with his sword. The power and ferocity made the gust of wind emanate that left others in awe. Jihan quickly sensed this. He abruptly turned around, but before Huyen could do anything, he had to stop as the sword in his hand vanished, becoming unusable. Jihan looked at his item and exclaimed, it really is a good and durable sword. Weapon information. Cooking hammer item grade. D, a divine artifact from another world. On a planet outside Earth, aliens used this to cook outsiders. You can experience the full power when equipped with both a knife and a cooking hammer. He put his other hand inside his jacket, looked at Huyen and said, I gave it my all. Seeing that Huyen wasn't giving up, Jihan looked at that naive expression and reminded him, I guess I have to use an outsider's sword. But not allowing him to do anything, Jihan launched a powerful counterattack, slicing through the air, causing Huyen to be sent flying high amidst a storm of bright swords, completely overwhelming the battlefield. In an instant, he gaped at the terrifying, brutal power of the attack, completely unable to retaliate even once. The spectators were equally stunned after witnessing this scene. They continuously commented, what is that? Is that sword energy? That's right. Oh my God. A silver rank uses sword energy, but that person is not the one who possesses the divine power of the white fire god. If he uses divine power, then is he a support player? He stood there with two weapons in hand, energy radiating strongly throughout his body. Item information cooking. Set kitchen knife. Item level D, a divine item on a planet outside of Earth. Aliens used this to cook. Outsiders, you can experience the full power when equipped with both a knife and a stove. The spectators had a question, but what is his weapon? Jihan looked at the sharp knife in his hand and remembered that he hadn't been in the kitchen for a long time. Jihan fell into endless thoughts that he once felt like he had fallen into the endless night of death, unable to see anything, as if all the lights in life had been extinguished. Yet the darker the night is, the brighter the stars shine. After the battle with Jihan, a silly announcement rang out, Streamer Huyen has been resurrected for you all. This left the viewers puzzled, wondering, oh, how could he come back to life like that? Really must be a hack, right? That must be it. The item used this time was a resurrection cross, which allows the user to revive only once. However, this cannot be used within the National League to merge teams or promo games. After reading the item description and seeing Huyen return, viewers commented, but what is he coming back to do? After all, he was already back to being the best because of taxi driver Jihan, right? The mission has failed. I'm so disappointed, Huyen. Damn this Huyen guy. After reading the audience's comments, he shamelessly exclaimed, "Oh, it seems that my carelessness has made many viewers unhappy. However, everyone just wait a little longer. Soon I will pay Seo Jihan back. Just watch." But as soon as he finished speaking, Jihan appeared right behind him, making the atmosphere suddenly very awkward. The eyes of the two met, but neither wanted to look at each other for long. It felt like an eternity as the song goes. Then, with Jihan's merciless exclusive techniques, he finished off the bland streamer Huin Kwang in a heartbeat so fast that he could only utter 3 words, "How come?" Then came the system announcement, "Player Jihan Double King." He glanced back and remembered that it had been a long time since he saw someone use that. In the future, hardly anyone would use it anymore, not because of the penalty, but because of its loopholes. Jihan looked up at the stands and realized that today was much more crowded than usual, perhaps because of the audience coming to watch the game starting today. He could point out that each individual audience member today were elves. The viewers, upon seeing her, were also surprised and commented, "Real elf there, look at the way they look at Jihan." Jihan looked up at them with no emotion because he knew they were the ones who had made him sick, the ones who contributed the most to humanity's failure. He turned his head to decide, but never mind, that matter can wait. For now, let's focus on resolving the issue at hand. While observing around the arena, Jihan vaguely realized he was being isolated by everyone, because as soon as he turned to face them, the crowd immediately scattered in all directions, running as if they were being chased by ghosts. They shouted to each other that now was not the time to fight, it was better to run away. Even that gold-ranked player was slowly being crushed by Jihan. But Jihan looked at the current situation and sighed, thinking that if this continued, the effectiveness of the hunt would decrease. He looked at the 2 weapons in his hands and calculated. It took me so long to find a legendary item, and to meet the display conditions I still had to keep fighting. While he was deep in thought, suddenly the system interface appeared right in front of him, startling Jihan a bit. You smiled and excitedly asked, "What's this?" The system announced the usual mission to subdue the goblins, eliminating all the goblins gathered around the Goblin King. Now Jihan looked at the approaching monsters and sighed about the unexpected gift. Then a goblin screamed and rushed towards him with sharp teeth, but it wasn't coming to attack Jihan, it was running away. The little goblin was so scared that it could only utter 1 sentence before Jihan struck it on the head with a heavy blow from his hammer. The knife in his hand was also raised high, ready to bring it down on the goblin suspended in midair. After the knife created a hole in its chest, Jihan landed with the sharp knife. The system immediately announced, "You have used the holy artifact correctly, causing them to submit to the divine cooking artifact D that is reacting." Jihan then understood. So this is how to use it. He calculated the process of breaking the head and then stabbing their hearts. Since it's equipped as a set, there has to be a certain order of use. He breathed a sigh of relief because he was lucky to realize it before the game ended. Looking at the battlefield where the goblins lay sprawled on the ground, Jihan felt a bit disappointed, thinking that if he had realized it sooner, only a few goblins would have been left. He looked ahead and realized that it wasn't completely over yet, as in front of Jihan now was the towering boss monster with red eyes. It was the Goblin King. Goblins of this size are 3 meters tall, 3 times the height of regular goblins, and far superior in both physical strength and intelligence. Its convoluted information made Jihan complain about the lengthy explanation after hearing it. Then he applied the process he had just realized directly on the Goblin King, with a shock strike causing it to fall over its head, smashing down and breaking the ground. Jihan then held the knife in his hand and whispered, "What if I am superior? After all, it's just a big goblin." With that, he thrust the knife down, delivering a fatal blow, finishing off the legendary Goblin King. The system then announced the completion of the quest to subdue goblins. You have received an additional 500 achievement points as a reward. The weapon in Jihan's hand radiated spiritual power, along with a notification of an increase in holy power. The cooking kit hammer artifact DE from another world based on the method of a certain cult in the universe. You use this for cooking. Using the hammer and kitchen knife at the same time will maximize the power of this equipment set. Considering that the cooking artifact has dropped from rank D to rank E, Jihan wiped the blood off the knife with his sleeve while thinking, rank E, so I still have 1 more chance to gain holy power. But if these 2 things are so slow, how can I hunt monsters? He glanced at the group of people standing far away, weighing the situation. Jihan affirmed that he had to take down other players. They were standing too far away, which made him a bit uncomfortable, and he rolled up his sleeves and said, "This is really annoying." Jihan recited a line of his own poetry. "If the mountain cannot see me, then I will go see the mountain myself." Looking at his fierce spirit, those watching almost choked on their comments. Now everyone can breathe again, just look at his scary face. It's really scary. Jihan, the bike taxi guy, isn't very good at this broadcasting stuff, huh? The scene shifts to the high-class urban area of Seoul Gangnam District Doksam Ward. A user named Barking Dog continuously commented, "But anyway, it's still 1,000 times better than that useless guy. LOL. This statement made Hun Kwang feel like he was about to vomit blood after reading it. He kept cursing non-stop. Is that referring to me, right? So how about when you guys were kissing my ass saying Lai was talentless, huh? And I'm not weak either, it's just that he's ridiculously strong. The estimated strength index is 33 agility, 37 HP, 36 mana, 34. Hun Kwang angrily nitpicked, like in this video, estimating his stats from the recent battle with the goblin, and the average was as high as 35. He then realized the nonsense he had just said and lay down on the keyboard in thought. Dante limits the stats at Bronze Cup with only 25. What kind of nonsense can reach as high as 35, hacker? Just mentioning this, Hun Kwang suddenly froze for 5 seconds upon hearing a loud scream in the video. The system board appeared with a notification that the player bike taxi Jihan has one kin. The sounds coming out made Hun Kwang look up in confusion, wondering what that noise was, like a pig being slaughtered. His gaze suddenly had to be redirected due to shock. Hun Kwang watched Jihan's attack method without blinking. He wondered what this one-sided attacking style was all about. Meanwhile, he was making a piercing strike through the arena with 2 legendary items in hand. Inside the arena, Jihan fought coldly, taking down each person one by one. Continuous announcements rang out, "Player bike taxi Jihan double kill." The viewers witnessing such a dramatic performance couldn't stop praising. This is art. That kind of art. How do you run straight to take off 4 heads of others? However, Jihan didn't care about them. He continued to focus on fighting. After that, the system continued to announce Chippo-kin, Quadra-kin, Benta-kin. This horrifying scene made other players extremely scared. They shouted to each other, "Let's temporarily ceasefire, someone poke him to take Toon out to drain blood." The person behind replied, "Who are you asking to poke that head of a platter?" After that, Jihan exhaled, gathered his strength, and looked at them. These people were scared, but still stubbornly called the damn hacker's name. They angrily cursed, "Damn it, you should know when to stop, right?" After that, he immediately fired continuously at him. Jihan ignored any further words. He directly swung his hand to strike this guy, then leaned to deliver a decisive blow to the other one with great force. Jihan's gaze remained unchanged throughout the battle. His actions were always precise and unreserved. After dealing with one group, Jihan continued his journey to the others, but it seemed that this target left him somewhat dissatisfied. The other players were just as fearful. They stared at him and continuously uttered ridiculous, astonished remarks. The viewers, upon seeing them, were also very confused and uncomfortable, commenting, "What is that? Just type in plain Korean, damn it." The system then had a new announcement, "Player Seong Jihan Double King." This information left the viewers dumbfounded, swearing, 10 kings in a row, what the heck? This guy has completely lost it. He is the first to achieve 10 kings in a row after the initial win, right? Don't mention that national traitor again. But disregarding those comments, Jihan focused entirely on the items in his hands. There were changes one after another. The Divine Cooking Tools item D was reacting, adding 1 holy power. The Divine Cooking Tool item had dropped from rank E to rank F. The system announced that the hidden mission had been completed, achieving 10 gold in the Roman arena. You have received an additional 500 achievement points as a reward. After reading it, Jihan realized the holy power and achievement points. So I have everything I need, he told himself. But there are still many things missing. I need something powerful and decisive. Thinking this, Jihan suddenly paused. For 5 seconds, he stared blankly at the system board. This is the trial mission: find the Dark Queen among the spectators sitting at the edge of the Roman arena and provoke her. Jihan recognized a trial mission. He was skeptical about a trial mission appearing in the Bronze Cup. More importantly, the reward for completing it was 50,000 achievement points. Gaining the attention of the Dark Queen constellation means a supreme individual representing a star, a divine entity. In the 8 Earth nets, gaining the attention of a constellation means being sponsored by them, helping you achieve abilities that would normally be impossible. He stood there, realizing this was something only effective at the Diamond Cuckoo, but it was happening right here. Jihan seriously promised himself he must obtain it at all costs. Just by pulling one of them towards him, the other constellations would surely be interested in him. With a bit of hesitation, his gaze serious, Jihan looked up at the stands, wondering if he could find her. He glanced over a series of elf tribe members. They all looked very similar. She was blending in among a forest of elves, and his task was to find the Dark Queen. Currently, Co Jihan is one of the first people in this country to achieve the record of killing 10 in a row. The previous record holder was Jun Sejin, and news of this had started to spread across all public media. The result you achieved is 10,000 followers, and along with 4,000 views, the predicted winning candidate to catch Ho Net is the motorbike taxi. The people in the Kiem Vung clan who once wished for Seo Jihan's defeat are now back to support him. Viewers are commenting that isn't the Kiem Vung clan making Seo Jihan famous themselves. If watching the Kiem Vung clan get played makes for a good meal, I suggest everyone do that. Oh well, I did it before, and now all the hatred is directed at Hun Kwang. The viewer's diary of streamer Hun Kwang shows that this jerk needs to go die. You can't even take down one guy, so how did you turn from copper to gold like that? I hope you will do your best on your path during this difficult time. Hun Kwang new comments are appearing. Viewers mock Seo Jihan for killing 5 lives, one of which is his. Well, the final kill stream has become famous. After reading these lines, Hun Kwang must lament, "Damn, the reputation is so ruined." He can't do anything, just let it go. It's useless now. Hun Kwang confidently asserts that from now on he will also ride the Jihan motorbike taxi. Now you will have one more fan, which is me, Lord Jihan streamer Huyen Kwang. My dream is to become the editor of the Jihan motorbike taxi. I will turn you into a star of Bato Tube. Jihan must be wondering what the heck this guy is planning. Of course, who knows what the Jihan motorbike taxi thinks about that. In the evening at a high-rise building sparkling with lights, Sei, with a bewildered face, wonders what she just watched. She glances at Jihan drinking water and doubts, since when has he been this strong? After realizing her little cousin's erratic mood, Jihan steps over to Sei. She speaks, "I feel so sorry for those people, it's really sad." He reassures her, confrontations are inherently cold and ruthless. Seiya teases Uncle when you said that you sounded like a bad guy. Then Jihan scrolls through the system panel. Meanwhile, Seiya wonders, "Many people want to donate to you, so why are you blocking them?" Jihan replies, "Oh, it's just that I forgot to turn off the default settings." CA suggests, "Then while you plan to accept donations, why don't you raise the minimum donation amount?" She adds, "If the donation notifications keep coming, it's hard to focus on other things." After hearing her suggestion, he seriously thinks, "That's right, should I set it to 10 million? CA immediately falls over at that number. She asks again, "That's up to 10,000,001, isn't that a bit much?" Jihan says nothing while A sits there thinking, "Isn't that too little?" He was deep in thought, and more importantly, the legendary quest he received told him to go find and provoke the Dark Queen. At that time, Jihan looked up at the stands and realized that he couldn't think of a way to find her among such a crowd. CA observed her uncle's expression and asked, "Do you need my help, Uncle?" She teased, "Whenever your face looks like that, I know things aren't going well for you." "Tell me what it is and I'll help you," Jihan said, tilting his head and sighing as he looked at the little niece, realizing how much she resembled her sister. Then he replied, "Really?" Jihan seriously recounted that his uncle had the task of finding the Dark Queen in the Sei arena. After hearing this, he eagerly asked, "What is the Dark Queen?" He replied, "I'm not sure either. All I know is that she sits in the Sei stands." Sighing, Jihan said, "It really is a strange mission." Then, with enthusiasm and excitement, she accepted the task. "Okay, I will review the footage and find her." Jihan responded affectionately, "I depend on your help." After that, he entered the room feeling overwhelmed, feeling guilty for needing the girl's help. After closing the door, Jihan silently sighed because that task was like searching for a needle in a haystack. Jihan helplessly sighed, thinking, "Well, I should be proud of her. She probably wants to be a good niece. I should feel grateful for that." So he reminded himself, Now, after a period of procrastination, I should organize the tasks I've neglected lately. The screen displayed 2 squares with 2 job position options, one supporting a vacant job position. Do you want to add a job? Jihan considered that he had purchased an additional job position with the achievement points he had accumulated so far. Adding a level 1 job position requires 10,000 B. With it, I will be able to add another job. The system reported, "You can choose one job, Warrior Archer Mage." He smiled and made his decision. "This time, I will choose the Mage job." Jihan directly pressed the Maze option on the screen. After just pressing the button, the air around Jihan immediately swirled around him. The system announced, "You have added the Mage job." He placed his hand on his chest and thought, "I feel a new source of power emanating from my heart." The feeling was different from divine power. Jihan told himself, "I will try it right away." The reason he chose the Mage job after selecting support was that the unique stats could only be obtained after acquiring these 2 jobs. His left hand grasped his right hand, and Jihan's mouth moved, preparing to perform an action after acquiring the new skill. In his hand was a shining gem that was gathering a magical power with waves of air swirling around it. Known as Achieving Force, Jihan recalled that before regression one day he heard Baron mention it while drunk. So frustrating, Jihan helplessly replied to the president, "How many more times are you going to talk about that?" Baron replied, "If you had adapted a little more at that time, I would have accepted you as American and treated you more warmly." Whenever he was drunk, he would confide in Jihan. The old man continued, "But I think that one day you and I could become close friends." That was when Jihan recalled that day he said something very strange. Baron raised a finger using magic to control the bottle of wine in his hand, muttering, "Like when I gained strength." Johann suddenly paused at this, wondering, "Strength, do you mean your skills?" Baron, slightly drunk, asked back, "Didn't I tell you about that before?" He began to ramble on, "Strength is a stat that appears when you combine holy power with mana to perfection." Baron explained while drinking, "Of course it's not that easy. Others can't even try because in the end I am the only one with 2 professions. He is both a support and a mage. This is something that only he can do because I have 2 status windows, which is a reward for reaching SSS level from Baron." After hearing this, Jihan wondered, "Are the conditions really just that?" Baron replied, "That's right. In addition, holy power must also reach level 10 or higher." He wondered again, "Is it okay that I'm not American and know this?" Baron affirmed, "I told you I am the only one who can have 2 professions at the same time. Even if the whole world knows, it doesn't matter." Jihan then realized he was indeed arrogant, but he was too right for Jihan to argue. It is indeed only Baron who can possess strength and an overwhelming power that dominates the galaxy. Now you know the requirements and have met them all. Back to reality, energy was radiating around Jihan. He shrank back, tensed up, and tried to hold tightly to what was in his hands. The entire room was filled with purple. The gem curled up now received even more power amplified by its characteristic red color. Jihan realized that this ability had brought Baron to the #1 position on the world rankings, even though he had already exploited and manipulated it terribly. If I want to be ready for what will happen in the future, then I must do whatever it takes to get it, he thought. I need to endure. I need to concentrate holy power in both hands, and Jihan transmitted mana from his heart to his hands to combine the 2 sources of power. He grimaced, struggling to look at what was in his hands, needing to condense it so that the power wouldn't leak out. After a moment, he smiled and murmured, "I can do this." But before he could finish his sentence, its power exploded, sending Jihan flying backward. He painfully fell against the wall, his eyes tightly shut. Jihan hit his head hard against the door, causing it to crack, while he lay there holding his head, trembling in pain. He rubbed his head, realizing he couldn't do it. It was not something he could stabilize just with his own strength. Jihan then sat back against the wall, sighing. "Do I need more mana before I try?" "I tried just once, and I've run out of mana already." He looked at his hands and wondered, "Can I combine them in both hands? I can't hold on to that source of power forever." He suddenly paused and thought about whether he could keep that energy in his hands forever. He closed his eyes tightly, thinking about what if he couldn't maintain that power in his hands. His arm was raised again, and the energy sphere reappeared, radiating intense energy. A question arose. The position of the sphere has changed, but what would happen if he brought it inside his body, combining the divine power at the upper dantian with the mana at the middle dantian? He stabilized both sources of power, with the source of power at the lower dantian, while those two sources tried to merge into a perfect form to the point where not a bit of energy leaked out. If all three sources of energy were compressed in that state, the black energy tinged with purple was gradually contracting and clinging tightly to the energy sphere. Jihan's eyes were closed, fully focused on feeling, but then it didn't work, leaving him a bit disappointed. A miracle happened. Jihan was then enveloped by an incredibly powerful force. The system also announced that it was trying to merge all three dantians. Immediately, a red alert appeared. Danger had exceeded the maximum tolerance thresholds of the player, searching for life-threatening factors. The impact from the next room was so strong that Seo in the adjacent room also felt it. She turned her chair around, looking towards the direction of the next room, wondering, "Uncle." Along with the unification of the three dantians, upper middle, lower Seo Jihan tried to combine divine power and mana to attack, and he also unconsciously used his power to try to merge them. But the conditions for merging were extremely strict. It required Jihan to fully utilize all three of these different essences. He was clutching his chest in pain, along with a warning: the minimum index must be 100. If it doesn't meet that standard, you could lose your life. Jihan braced himself in the storm of bright red energy, his whole body shaking violently. The power exploded intensely, as if it was about to break through all limits. Seo in the next room quickly realized something strange from the noise in her uncle's room. She quickly ran outside and shouted loudly, "Uncle!" "What's wrong, Uncle?" Say-ah worriedly opened the door to the room, anxiously saying loudly, "Say something, Uncle." But the scene inside left Say-A completely stunned. She could only dazedly call out, "Uncle?" Then a basin of ice was brought into the room, along with a bewildered question. "Really?" C.A. wondered. "Did you shout like that because you have a headache?" Jihan used a towel to cover his forehead and complained, "This is tough." She wondered again, "Why are you recovering so quickly?" Jihan didn't want to explain. C.A. angrily shouted, "Be serious, Uncle." She just finished speaking and realized she was wrong, immediately saying, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to yell at you." C.A., feeling hurt, shed tears, hesitating to explain, "I was just too scared. I thought something bad would happen to you too." Jihan looked at his upset niece and felt discomfort, realizing he had been careless. "I have to think about Say-A's feelings." Then she asked again, "So you're okay, right?" Jihan awkwardly confirmed, "Yeah, I'm fine." He took the initiative to apologize. "I'm sorry for making you worry." When C.A. heard this, she was momentarily stunned, then she wiped away the remaining tears. C.A. quickly regained her spirits, punched Jihan hard in the stomach as if to vent her anger, and cheerfully said, "I'm fine, what's the big deal? Luckily you're okay." Then she happily left the room. "Now I'm going to find the Dark Queen." Jihan, feeling helpless, could only reply, "Yeah, thank you." He sighed as he watched his little niece's back, thinking he shouldn't show his weak side anymore. Clearly, the unification process had failed, along with the system's announcement. The unification of the three dantian failed because Jihan lacked both experience and level. Jihan glanced at the ice water basin still in the room, approached it, used his strength and the red mana to wring out the water from the towel, then said, "But luckily I have the strength I want." Jihan clenched his fist, using his strength to slowly lift the wet towel. The system provided an explanation. When combining holy power and mana, they will be replaced by a strange metric, which is strength. He failed in unifying the three dantian, upper dantian, holy power middle, dantian mana, lower dantian, strength. But when combining holy power and mana, Jihan obtained strength. The connection of the three dantian will be maintained weekly. Jihan finished reading and thought in confusion, "The strength metric is so strange." He realized the values were already at 12 strength, 12 mana, 16 holy power, 10 strength, 12. The connection of the three dantian will be maintained weekly. The values of strength and strength interact with each other. Sharing the values quickly, Jihan was stunned and wondered if they still shared values with each other. He clicked on the strength box 14 and speculated, "So if I only increase one system metric, then the announcement rings out that strength increases by 2 strength, 14 mana. 16 holy power, 10 strength, 14, then strength also increases. Jihan was wiping his head while realizing this was cheating, but he reassured himself that just having strength was already great. Then how much better would unifying the 3 dantian be? Jihan reminded himself, but just leave it for a while. If I try again at this level, I might die. He opened his eyes wide, realizing he had already obtained what he wanted. Should I try using a wizard skill? Thinking that Jihan extended his hand forward to summon a spark of fire. The system then announced, making Jihan feel a bit embarrassed, "You do not have enough mana." He secretly exclaimed, "So cute." The faint moonlight lingered in the night sky, giving way to a brilliant dawn. The sun shone between the tall buildings, painting a mystical and poetic picture of harmony. Inside Jihan's bedroom, the sunlight flickered onto his face. Jihan groggily opened his eyes and realized, "Is it morning already?" The system unexpectedly announced, "You have gained 10 holy powers. You can no longer absorb holy powers from artifacts of grade D or lower. Please use artifacts of grade C or higher." Next to him appeared 2 items, a grade D acupressure stick, an artifact from another world that cannot be used for acupressure, but is still called a shadow acupressure. Stick grade E, an artifact from another world. Even aliens play ball, you know. Jihan sat up yawning and sighed. I thought I could use this, but it turns out to be useless, such a waste. I spent points to buy them. I have to sell the remaining stuff. After that, Jihan opened the door and called out, "Seiya, are you awake yet?"
Ma.
But unexpectedly, Sei appeared with dark circles under her eyes. She asked, "Are you up, uncle?" Jiha looked at his little niece's haggard face and asked in confusion, "Sei, what happened to your face? Did you stay up all night?" She looks at her uncle curiously. "Very sleep-deprived, huh? Remind you not to overexert yourself like that." Sei ignores the concern and points to the computer screen for Jiha to see. "Look, I found something good. I found..." He asks, "A video of other creatures." Sia confirms. Yes, there are some people with zoom skills focusing on other creatures and filming them. Jiha realizes about the sneaky method, and this one feels helpless thinking about the wrong skill to film secretly. But Sei then adds, "Look at this. This is footage of your match." The screen plays a voice. "Everyone look. The elf tribe is really beautiful. Their skin has no blemishes at all." Sei announces, "Sounds scary. I'm turning off the sound." She explains, "Both of them are nobles, but one side is dark elves. Do you think she fits the Dark Queen? I think the Dark Queen would suit her better." Sei turns back to ask, "What do you think?" Jiha is somewhat satisfied, praising, "That makes sense. CA is so good," she asserts, "but it's still a bit early to conclude. I will look into it more." He then furrows his brow in thought. "I don't think that constellation will be found easily." Seiya says again, "Starting tomorrow, I will watch foreign videos." Jiha continues to praise his niece. "You are like a professional." She happily replies, "Of course, and then I will edit videos with you." He, upon hearing this, curiously asks, "You know how to edit videos?" "Yeah." CA replies, "Yes, just a little. I used to make videos for Dad." Jiha is immediately stunned when she mentions her brother-in-law. This reminds him of the name Jin. Then Jiha feels a bit uncomfortable. He stands up and glances at the picture on the wall, the broken picture of the tall man. Jihan heartbrokenly wonders, did he really leave his daughter all alone like this? What a pathetic bastard. Flashback to 2 days earlier, on the day the man named Yun-Sik appeared in Jihan's house. He said, "I think I know who the Sword King's girl is." Seiya, upon hearing this, asks, "Really? Who is it?" Yun-Sik replies, "Her name is Ito Shizuru." He adds, "And she possesses S-level abilities, beauty that can topple kingdoms." This information leaves both Jihan and Sa in shock. He voices the question, "Do you mean Junsi Jin might have been affected by her skills?" Yun-Sik shyly responds, "Actually, I thought so." Jihan silently thinks he has never heard of this before. At that time, Yun-Sik reminded him, "Be careful, Mr. Jihan's car." He explained, "We believe that skill is not just about control anymore, but also about altering people's thoughts." In the past, this has happened many times when our brightest stars suddenly fell into the hands of Japan. If that skill has no limits, she will appear again to enchant another player. After that, he researched the beauty that could topple kingdoms and Ito Shizuru, but found nothing. Japan is indeed very cautious with her, Jihan reminded himself. Now I can't find anything at all. Just as Minister Park Jun-sik said, I also have to be careful. He stepped inside, reminding himself to prepare ahead of time. If what he said is true, then they must have already started acting. The airplane majestically glided across the city sky. On the wing of the plane, there was a line that read, "The defense forces have landed in Korea." Transitioning to one day, Seo in a beautiful outfit stepped out of the room. "Uncle, are you done?" She reminded, "We're going to be late." Jihan was also dressed in a suit wearing an expensive watch, replied, "Yes, almost done." He took steps towards Sei and urged, "Let's go." Jihan tidied his clothes and excitedly said, "It's time to greet our distinguished guests." Inside the elevator, it showed the 32nd floor. Seeing the expression of his niece looking a bit uncomfortable, Jihan worriedly asked, "Han, are you nervous?" He gently reminded, "Relax, there's nothing to worry about." Sei sighed and replied, "This is my first public appearance after Cha's incident, so I'm a bit anxious." Now Jihan comforted his little niece. "Just be brave and confident like last time. We have nothing to be ashamed of what others might think. What did I do wrong?" Sei seemed empowered. She replied, "Yes." After that, the elevator stopped at the lobby and the doors slowly opened. Jihan proactively stepped forward. He spoke as most people already knew what they wanted to hear. In front of the two were a crowd of many people dressed elegantly in the vast space of the party. A guest unexpectedly called out, "We are waiting for you, Mr. Seo Jihan." He reported that everything he had instructed was ready and he could go in right away. Jihan was satisfied, thanking, "Thank you, sir. Then I ask you to take care of everything until the event ends." He called the name of the managing man, Park Yun-sik. He replied, "At first I was very surprised that you asked me." Remembering that day, Jihan had slammed his hand on the table and said he never thought about auctioning the Sword King's collection, but it happened with the announcement of the auction event of the assets and favorite items of the former Sword King Jun Se-jin. The auction was chaired by the Net Catch Department of South Korea. Jun Se-yun-sik looked at the party's arrangement and affirmed, "I think I understand now." He straightforwardly asked, "You want to draw Japan here, don't you?" On the table there was a sign indicating the seating position of the defense forces. Jihan did not hide it. He replied, "That's right. The auction item I chose also serves this purpose." He added, "The connection device of Jun Se-jin and the combat data in it are exactly what they are targeting." Johan confidently asserted, "Japan will definitely take action depending on the situation." A luxury car appeared inside where two men, one of whom held a Japanese sword along with Jihan's affirmation, "He will show himself." No matter what he does, this event will force the people to face reality and realize they have no choice but to accept it. Yun-sik carefully observed the expression of the young man with a mind filled with tangled thoughts. Seo Jihan, he thought to himself, it's as if he can see the future. This is the last chance to change public opinion. Please ask the reporters to keep an eye on the area designated for the self-defense forces. While the two were talking, suddenly some strangers entered from behind and caused a disturbance. Jun Se-ah waited, and saw this. The building's security quickly stepped in to prevent unauthorized people from entering. "Please step back," they tried to explain. "Just give us a little time." "We are Sei-a's family. She knows us." She heard someone calling her name, turned around and realized Uncle Tu, the person related to Sei-a. Persistently trying to stop Sei-a, have you lost your mind? Even if you need money, why hold an auction? Those items are very valuable. She turned to blame Jihan. "Did you make her do this? How dare you sell someone else's inheritance, you scammer?" C.A., upon hearing this, angrily replied, "You call him a scammer. You are the real scammers. You can't take my father's surname because you're deceiving others." She asserted, "You underestimate me." "Do you really think I'm that stupid?" Seiya did not hesitate to expose, "You think I don't know? Your purpose is to take my father's money while he is not here." Her aunt, upon hearing this, was stunned and exclaimed, "What?" "Oh my, watch your mouth," Seiya declared clearly. "What my father left for me is mine. I can do whatever I want with it, and you have no right to interfere." After that, she coldly turned to leave, not forgetting to say, "The security outside, take them out of here. They should not be here. Let's go, Uncle." Meanwhile, the other three kept shouting and causing a ruckus. The security spoke up to stop them. "Stop right there. Outsiders are not allowed in. Please leave this place." Jihan looked at the mature demeanor of his young niece and praised, "You're really cool today." Vitu Ca proudly replied, "Of course I know how to protect myself." Yoon Sik, who was in front, proactively opened the door and announced, "Uncle Jihan, Miss Sea, we have arrived. I will lead everyone inside." Then the two were taken to the stage of the auction event for the assets and favorite items of the former Sword King Jun Se-jin, presided over by the head of the Korean Netcatch Department, Jun Se-a. The reporters were excited when they saw them, saying, "They are here, that's Mr. Jihan's car, quick take pictures." As soon as they saw you, everyone immediately started competing to ask questions. "Mr. Seo Jihan, what is the purpose of this auction? I heard you allowed other countries to participate in the auction. What is the reason for that?" Another side asked, "Ms. Jun-suk, please look this way. Is it true that the donation of the sword and this auction were influenced by outsiders?" Another reporter wondered, "Don't you hope the Sword King will return? What do you think about people saying that you are only profiting from the legacy left by the Sword King?" The questions gradually became more absurd, forcing Jihan to discreetly use mana. "Mr. Seo Jihan, please say a few words about your performance in the recent net catching match." As the question ended, his mana was unleashed. In an instant, the lens of a camera shattered in the bewilderment of the cameraman and everyone else. What happened? Then other cameras also simultaneously broke their lenses without anyone knowing the reason. Why did the camera suddenly break? It wasn't even on. How could it be broken? The invited guests were also very confused, turning their heads to ask, "Is something happening? What's going on?" While Jihan didn't care at all and stood up to speak. "This is not a press conference, this is the auction. Now we will begin today's auction." He announced, "We have prepared 3 items." Jihan introduced in order. First is the connection device of Jun Se-jin, which helps reduce injuries by 99% along with stored data in the device. The analytical data will be useful for us, especially for the upcoming Korea-Japan match. Jihan smiled as he watched everyone discuss amongst themselves, thinking they would not want to miss any items. He was sure that the data of high-level players was not something that could be found elsewhere. As expected, a hand was raised along with a voice. "Excuse me?" Jihan looked towards the sound and was surprised to see a somewhat familiar hairstyle. He suspected the man introduced himself. "I am Takeda Kazuo, the recruitment manager of the Japan Self-Defense Forces." He proactively asked, "If the auction has started, can I place a bid?" He bid, "I would like to bid 5 billion yen for all the auction items today." Takeda's voice continued. "Moreover, I want to have a private meeting with Ms. Seo and Mr. Seo Jihan." He looked towards the man and thought to himself he knew very well the purpose of his request. Then he slowly approached and skillfully replied, "I'm very sorry, but I find it hard to agree to that request." Jihan stood in front of him and demanded, "If you have something to say it to me right here." He asserted that this was neither the time nor the place for private meetings. I'm sure Japan knows this better than anyone else. Upon hearing that, Takeda smiled and replied, "Seo Jihan, don't look at me like that, it's scary. I'm just a guest at the auction, so don't be cold to me like that." He vaguely mocked, "If you keep provoking like this, others won't let it go." At this point, someone next to him stepped forward, raised a sword in front of Jihan, and blocked him. Takeda introduced, "Specifically, this is my bodyguard." The gaze of this person gleamed with a deadly yellow light. He boasted, "She can't be compared to the Sword King, but she's also a skilled player." Takeda continued to speak in front of the bodyguard's cold expression. "I mean no harm. I'm just letting you know." Jihan stared at her, his eyes clearly showing deadly intent. Then Seo Jihan directly punched her hard in the face. Caught off guard, she staggered back, her face flushed from the punch. Sato momentarily did not understand what had just happened. She was so angry that she gritted her teeth. He coldly raised his hand and asked her if she wanted to continue. Sato's eyes widened with her sword ready to be drawn. He placed his hand on Sato's shoulder and reminded her that it would be best for her to back off. This auction is being broadcast live on 8 channels worldwide. Her whole body was now trembling. The screen immediately displayed images of Jihan and Shadow along with welcoming comments. It's been a long time since anyone has seen him stream right. This is a personal broadcast of the beloved items and other assets of the former Sword King Jun Se-jin at today's auction. The competition is being broadcast on 8 Honeseo channels. Jihan whispered, "You don't plan to keep waving a weapon in my face while being broadcast live, do you?" The viewers, upon seeing this scene, commented, "Are you breaking the rules already?" She hurried to grab the sword because she thought she couldn't win against him. Takeda, seeing the tense situation, had to step in as a mediator. "All right, then." He took the initiative to approach, bowed his head, and apologized. "My bodyguard was a bit too aggressive. I apologize on her behalf." Then Takeda suggested, "Your car, there are a few things we need to clarify." He reiterated about the 5 billion, including the private meeting, and I thought I needed to hear a response to that proposal. Takeda pointed to the woman standing behind Jihan and said, "From her Sei." Upon hearing her name, she was stunned and asked back, "Me, Shao." The viewers then exposed this scumbag who was trying to exploit that girl. Protect, say, a brother. Takeda pressed Jihan, asking, "The assets of the Sword King are under the ownership of Korea, isn't that right? This doesn't mean you can't refute." He walked past Jihan, reminding him in a very mocking tone, "So the rightful owner of this auction should be Korea, that's correct." After that, Takeda approached her and said, "Say, this is an invitation to a secret meeting for you. Don't you want to know where your father is right now?" Hearing this, her face briefly showed extreme confusion. Takeda gently adjusted his collar and vaguely said to Sei, "You can ask me anything, of course I also have a lot to say to you." He hinted with a sinister look. "So what are you going to do now?" Under the overwhelming pressure from the man, Seo stammered. He glanced at Seo's expression and guessed that she would definitely say yes without a doubt. How could she possibly refuse this offer unless she was an idiot? But completely contrary to Takeda's thoughts, Seo bluntly replied, "I refuse your offer." A response that left the man dumbfounded. Her words made the viewers laugh. He became a pixel. Takeda was confused, wanting to explain, "Wait, what I mean is, wait, Kuda, do you want to give up the 50 billion yen just for this secret meeting? That's 50 billion won in Korean currency?" Sei calmly responded, "Yes, but my uncle is right. We need to be very careful because of the time. If my father can only be contacted with money, then I don't want to know anything more about him." Takeda was struck dumb, shocked to the point that his limbs took on awkward poses, leaving the viewers bewildered, commenting, "Look at that weird pose. Why are you posing like girls from 90s manga?" CA happily continued, "Moreover, I'm still a minor, so I still need to follow my uncle's words." The participants in the auction, seeing the situation, breathed a sigh of relief and discussed, "Thank goodness I was afraid the items would be sold to the Japanese. But we still can't let our guard down." That's right. Although she refused the private meeting, we don't know how much the Neo Self-Defense Forces will bid. And right now the atmosphere between Sei and Takeda is a bit awkward. He spoke up, "Did you decline the private meeting? I guess there's no other way then." So we, the defense forces, those who watched the commotion in the comments, I guess he plans to cut the price down. Seeing him cut it down to 50 million yen, Takeda confidently asserted that we would only bid 5 billion. He explained, "To be honest, the secret meeting was just one of the options that I added on my own." Jihan stood behind, listening and feeling a headache, wondering, what the hell is this? Is he trying to swindle us? Then Takeda took an envelope out of his jacket pocket and added, "I was advised from the beginning to offer 5 billion right away." At first he presented the white envelope and announced it was from Sir Sword King with his name written on it. Takeda handed it to her and explained, "This is a letter from Sir Sword King to you, Sei." He hinted if this could be the final price. Sei looked down at the white envelope on which a name was written, Ito Ryu Hei. She hesitated a bit, but ultimately accepted it. Takeda turned around, satisfied, exclaiming, "Is it really that easy to get the items from Sword King? Or is it because the Korean team doesn't have enough 5 billion yen to buy them anymore?" This made the auction participants angry, cursing internally, "That bastard!" You remember the personnel recruitment manager of the Defense Forces. Before the regression, he was someone banned from entering the United States. He was so good at recruiting foreign players that he was strangely called the Great Disaster of Japan. Takeda excitedly rubbed his hands and suggested, "Well then, you see, Mr. Jihan should start writing the contract right away, right?" Jihan silently speculated that perhaps he had something to do with the player using the woman with unmatched beauty. Thinking that you replied, "All right," Jihan silently affirmed that he needed to pay attention to him. You looked around the auditorium and thought, with this atmosphere, it seems like something is off. Japan has taken these items too easily, as if we had promised to give them beforehand. This would be considered extremely bad in front of the media. Other guests at the auction expressed their displeasure, saying, "5 billion right from the start. Does this really make sense? If so, what the hell are we doing here?" The spectators also indignantly commented, "Just like that, giving it to Japan. Are we sure this isn't staged? And there's no way this isn't staged." At this moment, everything was still fine. Just need 1 point to turn the tide. CA was standing in front of the microphone and preparing to speak. She stood at the podium coldly holding the letter written by her father and read it aloud for everyone to hear. "Say, I heard through the news that you donated the electric sword. I don't know why you did that, but it is truly very regrettable. This is the last asset I will leave for you, so use it wisely." She continued reading with tears falling onto the paper. "This is the end of our father-child relationship, so don't expect to meet again." Even though the paper basically had nothing written on it, all the content above was completely made up by CA, but she still felt heartbroken to the point of tears. CA shyly told everyone, "That's what was written. This is definitely my father's handwriting." Jihan felt a bit heartbroken upon hearing it, closed his eyes tightly, and turned away without saying a word. He furrowed his brow, thinking to himself, "Beauty that can topple kingdoms. I heard it's a kind of psychological control even more than mind theft." It must be true. Jihan had hated his brother-in-law from the start, but at least he was a very good father to CA. He appeared surprised, unable to believe that he could do this to CA. At the same time, she tore the paper apart so that no one would know this secret. After that, CA said, "Mr. Takeda, please pass this message to Mr. Ito for me. I have received his assets already." Her voice dropped full of determination, and I was also very pleased to cut off our relationship. CA felt a bit sad and babbled, "Right, if I tear it up like this, I'll just be making extra work for the laborers." Jihan coldly stepped over and comforted her. "It's okay, CA, you can quickly use your mana to clean up the paper scraps." Then he told his niece, "I'll handle that." He decisively used a fire spell to burn all the scraps of paper. The people there looked extremely astonished. The confusion of everyone at the auction was evident on their faces. The crowd was panicking and discussing among themselves, "Fire magic, is that person a wizard? How could he possess the skills of a warrior, along with mana and holy power?" Takeda focused on his back, hesitating in his heart. "Seo Jihan, that person, he has a twisted, happy expression that trembles as he thinks I want him. That is the person we Japan need to have." While he was still lost in his joyful thoughts, everyone at the auction rushed towards him. Takeda was still wondering when everyone started rushing to recruit Jihan endlessly. "Mr. Jihan, you haven't joined any group yet, have you? We will meet any of your requests. I'll be prioritized, right?" They made offers and urged him to speak. Jihan raised both hands to signal everyone and then spoke up. "Wait, everyone rushing at me makes me a bit uncomfortable." He frankly admitted, "I'm not in the mood to talk about stuff like this right now." Say-ah called out from behind, "Uncle." Jihan was busy turning back to remind his niece, "Say-ah, I'm sorry, you can go ahead. I'll catch up with you soon." Say-a's face darkened. She stammered, trying to say, "It's not that." Say-a held her head, her whole body swaying. "My head really hurts." Then her eyes shut tightly as if she fainted. CA suddenly collapsed onto the floor in front of Jihan. He was stunned, seemingly having his heart stop, and called out loudly, "Say-ah." She lay there motionless, the reason unclear. Jihan rushed to hold the little niece in his arms and called for a car. Opening her eyes, she looked tired and weakly called out for her uncle. He anxiously asked, "Han-se-ah, are you okay?" "Just try a little, I'll take you to the hospital." She grabbed the hem of Jihan's shirt and softly called him uncle. She whispered in his ear, "I'm acting." Then Seo subtly winked at Jihan. She thought to herself, "I think he's feeling awkward in front of the crowd, so I'll put on this act." Jihan was stunned and panicked, wondering, why do it right now? "Then we can't bid anymore." She glanced at her uncle and wondered, I did well, right? Jihan sighed in relief, thinking, oh my, the girl is just like my sister. The spectators saw this scene and immediately shouted angrily, it's all that bastard traitor Ito's fault. Sister Seiya, please don't get hurt. Then he stood up and told everyone, I'm very sorry, I will have to end today's event here. My health isn't very good, she needs to rest. Jihan helped the little niece stand up and asked, Hansei, can you still walk? She whispered in reply, yes, I want to go back to rest. At this moment, Takeda was being blocked by the bodyguards. He tried to shout loudly, please allow me to speak with you for a moment. I'm sorry for the trouble my appearance has caused. Takeda proactively took out a card and said, I just wanted to officially extend an invitation to you and greet you properly. Can you contact me later? The card was then quickly lifted by Jihan, using his mana, and he tore it apart in an instant, replying, ridiculous. This scene alone left Takeda stunned, exclaiming excitedly, wow! Jihan coldly added, that's my answer. The spectators seeing this dramatic scene mockingly commented, the head of recruitment for the world's 4th-ranked guild was rejected by a bronze-ranked player from Korea. That bald old man must be furious. But Takeda, on the contrary, did not feel that way. He still smiled happily, trembling all over as he said, as expected, he is the best Seo Jihan. He realized that the power was real along with that mysterious strength that ripped apart the business card. With that kind of power alone, he is already worthy of investment even if he is just a bronze player. A rising star will continue to develop even more in the future. Takeda told himself that he must find a way to recruit him. Outside the hall, Jihan and his niece just stepped out and happily high-fived each other. CA said, nice job, you, and brushed her hair back, praising her niece. Good acting. Uncle was also fooled. CA proudly boasted, did you see anything I'm not good at? He teased cooking. While they were talking, suddenly a system sound rang out. You have unread notifications. Jihan confusedly read the new notification and wondered, what's this? The notification read, Thick Trang has sponsored you 10,000 Jigibin. Kong-san was very happy to meet you today. I turned off the broadcast channel, but he is still sponsoring. CA stood next to him, laughing so hard she was shaking, exclaiming, oh, his way of speaking is so cheesy. He couldn't believe it. I can't believe the first sponsor of Uncle is this bastard, I must block him. While the two were happily chatting, a strange woman suddenly spoke up in front of them. Hello, Mr. Jihan Junsei. The two of them were stunned as they listened to her continue. It's a pleasure to meet you both. The woman proactively introduced herself. I am here on behalf of the branch guild to greet you. I am the head of Department Number 3, Lee Haeon. She smiled and continued. I came all the way here because I was hoping to meet you both. Sorry for the sudden visit. Jihan was a bit puzzled. You can't come in here unless you are related to the matter. How did you manage that? You are suspicious. Her voice sounds very familiar. I've met her before. Haseon calmly replied, I always maintain a close relationship with the enforcement department in Korea. I'm just leveraging my connections. She explained further. In the office, I'm famous as the Little Flower Dan. When Jihan heard this name, he paused, he was sure. The confident attitude to the point of being shameless, and that tone definitely made me feel like I've met her somewhere before. Ha-Jian proactively extended her hand and said before getting to the main point, she mentioned your nickname, which is Victorious Messenger CO. Meanwhile, Jihan tried to recall her slightly hesitant expression. The image of Ha-Joan now reflected the image of the masked woman he had met earlier, along with the statement, I am a long-time fan of yours. Jihan silently confirmed it was definitely that person. CO saw this expression on his face and wondered, what's going on? He is frozen. She glanced at Haeon and also gasped in shock, speculating, could it be that he has fallen for her? Jihan then also spoke up. This world is full of temptations, so it's really hard to ignore that. He half joked, half seriously continued, that's a quote from Dostoevsky, a great writer. He is also famous for his gambling addiction. This statement startled the two people in front of him. Jihan asked directly, do you like that saying? Gazan realized his intention immediately after hearing it. She proactively stood in front of Hazian and said, Miss, let me ask Gazan seriously. Who are you? How do you know her motto? She shouted fiercely. Only a few people know that she is a genius gambler. How could someone like you know? Jihan smirked at this, no longer doubting. He silently confirmed that she is a member of the First Flower Association, managing Zero, the only Korean besides Jihan, who is a good-for-nothing who only knows how to eat and gamble, but became the head of the second association thanks to her voice ability. Initially, the voice ability was a skill only used to receive supportive effects. After the practice ended, the growth range expanded to all other aspects, including parameters and voice gift levels. S-level gifts, FB growth effects parameters, and assigned player gifts have increased. That skill began to become useful, and the strongest among the voice users is her Zero. Then Gazon curiously asked, "Miss, do you also go to the casino to play?" Hazian shyly stammered, reminding not to say any more. Gazon, don't say anything else. Jihan sighed, thinking from Peach Blossom Sword to Zero, it seems that the Division Guild is doing a good job at recruitment. He explained briefly, I saw her in a previous stream. Jihan added, among my fans, her message is the most memorable, so I just asked that. Sorry if I made you lose a message. Gazan turned around and asked, when watching the stream you were sure too, la. She shyly lowered her head and reminded her companions word by word, please be quiet. Then Heian cleared her throat. I don't feel very happy, suddenly being labeled a gambler like that. Jihan glanced at her and smiled, thinking to himself that whoever labeled it the truth is what it is. CA glanced and noticed he was smiling. He must be falling for her. Hazian ignored it and stepped forward to say, but it's okay. I don't mind being proactive in this comfortable atmosphere, and it's quite strange. I feel like we will run into each other a lot from now on. CA saw Heian pull out her phone, her eyes sparkling like stars, thinking, oh my God, she's pulling out her phone. She must be falling for my uncle, too. She didn't say much, but straightforwardly stated, the Subdivision Guild wants to have you, Jihan. See you next time, just the two of us. After hearing that, Sei immediately thought of a romantic date with feelings of pink bubbles bursting. She happily shook her head and thought, oh my God, am I about to have something? Hazian was feeling extremely shy and rubbing her neck. She thought to herself, I was too sexy just now. I'm very good at maintaining distance, but still keeping things professional. Her gaze glanced at him and silently reminded, pay attention, Gazan. This is how I control men. Meanwhile, Gazan appeared calm and somewhat confused. Hazian gently tucked her hair behind her ear and smiled confidently. Watch this. Contrary to her expectations, Jihan hesitantly refused. Sorry, but I don't know my phone number. Hajon and Gazan were stunned and surprised by this. He turned to ask his niece, Seiya, what is my number again? Suddenly, CA's eyes widened as she realized that maybe he was playing the soft approach, but looking at Jihan's eyes glancing at her, it seemed not to be that situation. She silently judged that he must have planned everything she had to help her uncle. Since this is not the situation, Seiya then held her head and sighed, Uncle, I feel dizzy again. Jihan pondered this time. The girl really wanted to go back and rest. Sia thought, if that's the case, she would cooperate with him. Then he spoke to Hazel. My niece is not feeling well, I have to go. If you give me your business card, I'll contact you first. She froze, holding the business card, and stammered, okay. Then they both walked away. CA smiled happily and thought to herself, I don't have to worry about my uncle's love life anymore. Hazel was still in shock. She called out to Gazan. She replied shakily, yes, miss. Hazel angrily yelled, I heard you laughing. I'm about to go crazy. Keep laughing. Gazan couldn't hold back her laughter anymore. She burst out laughing and replied, it's not funny, I'm sorry. The sunset faded behind the tall buildings. In the air, the sound of a woman's reproach could still be heard. You are really annoying me. Inside the elevator, Sei confided, Uncle, do you know what really surprised me? She admitted, I never thought you would wear my father's clothes. Jihan sighed. They're too big now, what should I do? Your clothes don't fit anymore. He added, the clothes are not wrong. Sei agreed. That's right, as long as you wear them well. What's the problem? She teased again. But Uncle, the previous comment wasn't nice. Jihan asked curiously. Which comment? Sia replied. It's too old and shabby. She bluntly stated, you're the first to reject me. I've used it so many times I don't know. Jihan felt uneasy after hearing that, not understanding anything. He wondered, what is she talking about? CA kept talking. It's fine to be arrogant, but saying you don't remember your own phone number is not okay. She reminded him, because I'm quick-witted, I was able to save the situation. Uncle really didn't know that Sei-A's accidental answer shocked her like lightning. The atmosphere between the two suddenly became awkward. CA asked again, "Really?" The young man replied honestly, "Yeah." After hearing that she was truly at a loss for words with this man, the atmosphere fell into silence for a moment, until Sei-A spoke up reproachfully. "Are you absent-minded?" "Not really." The conversation would lead to a new chapter. "Welcome to the Donggong Nam Cup Arena. This mission is to defend the crystal and survive the zombie army." Jihan logged into this game. He sighed and complained, "So tired." Jihan thought to himself, comforting Sei-A is really exhausting. Remembering earlier, Sei-A cried non-stop because she realized she misunderstood her uncle's meaning. She heartbreakingly exclaimed, "Did I miss my uncle's chance at love? Because of my foolishness, I became a hindrance." Remembering that scene made Jihan helplessly sigh. He thought again, "Does she think I like Lee Haeon? Who would like that gambling addict?" Jihan's gaze was calm. After all, he didn't expect to meet Zero like this on screen. Displaying the image of a man named Guillermo Masic from Argentina, an angry voice echoed, "Damn it, lost again." Hajon was wearing a mask at that time and sighed, "This is ridiculous, Jihan. Why was that name able to score? Do you remember back then the two of them quickly became close because they were both drifters? On holidays, the two often bet Zero along with some betting games. Johan at that time insisted, "I told you that Diego Maradona would score." Hajon angrily asked back, "But how is that possible?" She complained, "A gift like a peak football god is so outdated. Diego Maradona of Argentine nationality, age, unknown profession, sorcerer, gift of football god, SSS. He reminded, "I told you to pay attention to that SSS level gift." Haeon sighed and made a promise to herself. "I will definitely win the bet next time." Jihan seriously reminded her to quit gambling. Haeon replied indignantly, "Don't say that it's very hard to ignore temptation." He complained, "You always lose and don't mention your proverb anymore. I've heard it too many times." Now Jihan asked again, "By the way, aren't you going to remove the scar on your face?" "Hajan, honestly, I have never intended to do that. I have already said that is the price to pay for dealing with the devil." Besides being homeless, they had many other things in common. At that time, Hazion called him Jihan. She wondered, "How come you got so strong so quickly? If I was still as strong as when I was in Korea, my friend wouldn't have to die so tragically." And the biggest thing they have in common is the feeling of guilt and torment. Hae-yeon raised her glass, blaming herself. "Oh no, I have no right to say that." "Oh right. It's all my fault." They clinked glasses because of the torment and guilt for not being able to protect their loved ones. Jihan, after hearing that, fell silent with a mess of thoughts in his head. Returning to reality, he slightly lowered his face and recalled that incident. At this moment, Jihan was in the match. While he was lost in thought, suddenly viewer comments appeared. "Wait, his right hand. Oh my god, it's sticking out of the screen. Last time it was a kitchen knife. What is it this time? Let's see what he does." As they saw Jihan's weapon, they exclaimed, "Look at what he's holding in his right hand. It's terrifying." "Oh no, this time those monsters are going to be in trouble." That's the machete of Pope Uraka, a sea-level item, a holy artifact sword used as a sacrifice by Pope Uraka, very suitable for disemboweling various creatures. Jihan looked at the weapon in his hand and thought, "I don't understand why a sea-level item is so cheap. Maybe this sword is big and heavy, not everyone can lift it." He then tried swinging it a few times and assessed, "Well, it's still easy." Jihan held the weapon with both hands, raised it high, and prepared to strike down. The viewers just saw him swing a few slashes into the air. They immediately commented in admiration, "He is as strong as a warrior." Some people were curious. "That's a good idea, right? I want to see it too." He secretly wondered, "To show my status window." A strong explosion on the ground, the viewers of the show had another chance to discuss. "He fights like a war god, but his skills actually move like a warrior, yet he uses magic. His profession is a wizard. Show us the status window." Jihan plunged his sword into the ground and realized there were now more people watching. People started demanding, "I have 12,000 viewers." The viewers commented, "Look, Jihan, just show us the warrior with support and the wizard." He hesitated, unsure whether to show the public, but surely they wouldn't let it go. They are just ordinary people. The system displayed achievement notifications. Channel 1 subscriber attraction completed. Channel 2 subscriber attraction not completed. Channel 3 subscriber attraction not completed. Now Jihan realized he just had to be straightforward. Thinking that he spoke up, "Hello everyone, I am Seo Jihan. It seems like there are a lot of people curious about my status window." The viewers upon hearing this commented, "How could we not be curious? Don't provoke him for real." Jihan then spoke, "I will reveal it to everyone." Upon hearing this, people commented, expressing their joyful emotions. "Wow, I can finally rest. Life is so meaningful." And he raised his hand and continued, "But on the condition that I have 200,000 channel subscribers. This is my promise." Upon hearing this number, the viewers commented with curses, "You already have 10,000 subscribers, right? Surely the dead must rise again. This name is unbelievable. You are just a bronze-ranked player. Having 10,000 subscribers is already great. 200,000. What, just say you don't want to show it?" Jihan read the comments and thought, "I knew they would complain because 200,000 is indeed a difficult number to achieve." So he decided to speak up. "I will add one more condition. From now on, if I do not maintain the top ranking, I will immediately reveal my status window." The viewers upon hearing this became fans in shock and commented non-stop, "Are you planning to win in a row? It won't happen, but let's see." After watching the audience's reaction, he thought, "That should be enough. They really are simple-minded." The viewers continued to comment endlessly, "If it's just the arena, it might work, but team games also depend on luck." The burial appeared as soon as the game ended. They could only chant the burial, "Just wait and see." After that, Jihan tightened his grip on his weapon. One viewer wondered, who will team up with Seo Jihan? At the same time, there were beams of light from above striking down. Jihan glanced over, stunned, wondering, "What's going on?" His eyes were dazed with one question, "Are they all in the same place?" Huyen then appeared and exclaimed, "Look who has come." Behind him, there were two more people. Huyen chatted non-stop. "Meeting Seo Jihan again is truly fate." Then Ju Hyuk appeared. He glanced angrily at him, thinking, "Seo Jihan." He looked around for a bit and realized, "Hey, there's one more person. This is the first time I'm meeting him." The viewers who saw this guy also had a fan discussing excitedly, "Kim Ju Hyuk and Huyen have become a circus. But that guy is even more ridiculous than him. It's truly a scam with that stupid ball." That was Diego Maradona, the top player from Argentina. Before Jihan recalled, everyone saw him and commented in astonishment, "Even Diego! I met him once in real life. He looked very annoying. But why is the Argentine player at the Gangnam tournament?" Johan remembered this moment. He was still unknown, looking fragile with messy facial hair. But he suddenly realized something was off. Wait a minute, that's strange. Johan thought again, "I'm the support, Huyen is the warrior, if that guy is the mage." Could he be the archer? The Argentine player archer Diego Maradona. Jihan recalled that before he regressed, he was once a mage. What happened? Yu Hyuk over here was still grinding his teeth in anger, thinking he couldn't believe he ran into this bastard. He recalled the dark past. It was because of him that he lost all his skills. Damn it, I don't even want to see his face. While he was busy cursing inwardly, the notification from Yu Hyuk rang out. The Sword King Clan 898 has registered for a reward mission. He wondered, which crazy person assigned this mission? But before he could finish his sentence, Yu Hyuk froze in front of the number displayed on the screen. What is this? He doubted incredulously. What is this mission? System announcement. Destroy the crystal and prevent Mr. Jihan from reaching the top position. Reward 50,000 GP. The game started. As soon as the announcement rang out, a surge of power came crashing down from above, leaving the viewers bewildered. Yet Diego jumped up and kicked the ball down. This scene made the viewers exclaim, "Wow, just using a soccer ball can also beat someone up." Indeed, there are things that will never change. After that, he continued playing casually, completely unconcerned with the undead golems climbing the tower. Diego's relaxed posture impressed the viewers. Truly the football god, Diego Maradona. Then he tilted his head and said to Jihan, Give me some Archer. I still need more power. Diego explained, in a team game, everyone must strive to fulfill their role. Jihan looked at his hands and thought, give some. Previously, my stat points were never enough to use it too much. He extended his hand and decided, but since his holy power had increased, he thought he could try a bit. Jihan gently spoke power. With that, a part of the aura surrounded the players standing on the Huyen Kwang Tower. After receiving the power, they expressed their happiness and exclaimed, "Oh my God, Jihan giving us so much, you really are a wonderful support." The onlookers who witnessed this scene couldn't help but exclaim, "Wow, this support is amazing." A support with a sword so big it's suspicious. Ju Hyuk, after receiving the confusing power, thought to himself, "Why is that crazy guy stopping? Surprising us." Then a voice called out, "Hey, you magician we met before." Jihan asked directly, "This time are you going to play fair?" Ju Hyuk was puzzled by the question. "What?" He hesitated and replied, "Of course." Huyen Kwang held a perfect document to broadcast. He stepped forward to tease, "What's this? Is there some connection between the two of you? Are you two friends?" He looked at Jihan thinking, "If I don't listen to you, you're going to throw me away again, right, you bastard?" After hearing the answer, he firmly stomped his foot on the ground and said, "All right, Jihan, assign this, you handle things here." With that, Jihan decisively jumped from the high tower down below. This scene left the three people above confused, not understanding what he intended to do. Diego turned to ask, "Is he crazy or what?" He replied as if he were used to it. "Isn't it obvious enough? That bastard who likes to play football." Ju Hyuk gritted his teeth in anger, thinking, "Oh my God, I hate this so much. Does he think he's some kind of subordinate of his—" He suddenly stopped, realizing, "No, not at all. Then I will just do what I want to do and see how long he can be whimsical." His mission repeated on his screen, "Break the crystal block and stop the taxi." Jihan achieved first place reward 51,800. He was still in the air, jumping down towards the crowd of monsters below. On the ground, hundreds of undead golems were waiting with their mouths open for their prey to fall. He calculated the magic power and holy power that had been enhanced since merging into his strength, making a horde of zombies seem like a bunch of paper people. The fire flame technique was unleashed, the green flames slowly engulfing the golems. The corpses caused them pain, screaming intensely. Then Jihan above held the great sword, bringing it over his head, preparing to swing down to attack. In the meantime, the undead golems were still screaming in despair. Johann tightened his grip on the sword and shot down from above like a green lightning bolt. The light exploded violently, the shockwave sweeping the undead golems into dust. After Johann's devastating attack, the undead golems were engulfed in fierce green flames. Their distorted bodies gradually disintegrated, turning into black shadows, completely crushed by the power. Above, Diego saw this scene and exclaimed in shock, "This Korean supporter is really crazy." Huyen Kwang, as if accustomed to this sight, joyfully exclaimed without pause, "Oh my God, is everyone watching?" Huyen Kwang confirms that these things are being live-streamed. The viewers were utterly stunned after seeing the technique. They commented, "Wow, what the heck is going on? Didn't he just kill all 100 of them by himself?" Another person wondered, where did this guy come from? "I don't know, but Jihan's battle is not over yet as he faces a gigantic undead golem charging at him with a fierce face and glaring red eyes growling at Jihan. He didn't say much, decisively stabbing the ground with his sword. In the face of the trembling undead golem, Jihan smirked. Just as he predicted, despite going through many difficulties, achieving this was still worthwhile. The true value of the ability to control spatial forces in Jihan's mind brought one word to mind: territory. At the same time, a thin barrier enveloped him and the golems in front of him. Anyone who enters this territory will have their actions restricted and controlled by the user. That's why the undead golems did not attack Jihan even though he did nothing. Jihan's eyes turned red like the golems. He knew that most people were unaware of the existence of this invisible, intangible power. Jihan was very familiar with Baron, who had much weaker control abilities than his own, and often trained alongside him and Seo Jihan. Because he had repeatedly practiced against Baron's power countless times, Jihan was able to fully understand the strength of this force. The sword was then drawn from the ground, leaving a large wet mark on the earth. It carries the destructive power charged with his mana, ready to fight with the fire flame technique. Right now, Seo Jihan is a supreme existence able to simultaneously use both holy power and magic power while also possessing both strength and martial power. How could a small trophy stop him? Jihan then directly delivered a horizontal slash at the monster. After Jihan's devastating attack, the system reported that 124 zombies had been destroyed out of 1,000. He looked at the number and promised himself last time he couldn't kill all 1,000 zombies. This time he was sure he would succeed.